Spooky. How you doing? There's also another guy here.
I'm also spooky, but less visible.
Yeah, he's slightly off camera.
Slightly, I'm entirely off camera.
I'm so quiet. We're so quiet. How's Tim? There
Hello.
we go. Hello.
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 Hello. We're just going to fully... Everything's gone up. How are we doing? That's better. Is that better? Is that better?
You can probably go some more. I normally go until I hit you.
I'm going into the yellow.
There he is.
Here he is. Hi. Bypass.
Bypass. Yeah, that's probably about right.
If you don't get that joke, well, that's why we're here.
Scumbags.
Please give us your money. Hello, everybody. We're doing a fundraiser for G.O.B.L.I.N.S pod. G.O.B.L.I.N.S.
Gob that pod.
Gob that pod. We're trying to make a thing. We're trying to make a comedy folkloric sitcom.
Correct.
Yeah. It's called G.O.B.L.I.N.S, and we've got some links. There's a link down in the corner, so tinyurl.com/G.O.B.L.I.N.S pod. We've also got some things where Tim is monitoring the fundraiser page, and if you donate a certain amount, the things that are on the here will occur. You'll see.
And we've got two sections of things that we're potentially rewarding today. If you donate during the live stream, the various amounts will amount to Ben. Are we happy with a voice of their choosing, or would you like to?
A voice of their choosing,
Voice
as long as it doesn't contravene any just no crime voices.
No crime, and anything that needs to be legally dissimilar. That's also fine.
I reserve the right to not.
Yeah, fair. It's fair. A personal thank you. Reading of your personal message. If you do, please include your personal message in the donation message. Otherwise, how on earth are we supposed to know?
It's true.
This, I don't know what the broad appeal of this last one is, but if you donate £30 during the stream, Trexel will argue for your life because you're considered a threat to the institute.
Which institute, Tim?
The Brookings Institution. An institute. Okay. A very I-based institute.
The Tony Blair Institute for ID cards.
Exactly. The Ed Miliband Institute for thinking very hard about things, okay? More broadly, though, if we hit, during the live stream, 50%, we will pledge, because that's the terminology you use in these things, pledge, to do a Ben and Tim gaming stream, because they happen very, very rarely.
It's true.
Because Ben is a scumbum.
I will ignore my wife and pregnant child in order to play games.
Thank you. For goodness sake. If 60% funded, we will commit to producing some sketches, some skits, some fun. We'll make some little content for you.
Okay.
TBC.
Yes. Or maybe the Goblins team, perhaps. Or
maybe no, Ben Meredith personally, or
okay.
Ben.
I have lots of time, you see.
Yeah, loads of time.
Okay,
I'm just going to point the camera at you. I'm going to see what happens.
Fine.
If 75% funded, obviously, it's a big...
Did I?
You suggested that one.
No. I think I said my wife and pregnant child. My pregnant wife and child.
Look, the point is, in this house, everyone's pregnant.
Oh.
And if we hit 75% funded, if some strange benefactor does pop out the woodwork and get us to that 75%,
yes,
we will commit to doing a live show.
Yes.
Probably a really good one, actually.
Yeah, probably a
really absolutely cracking one.
Banger.
Probably in London, but we'll have to see.
Probably in London, maybe in Brighton, depending on venue availability.
And childcare needs.
How
many children do you have now? 40, 50?
I don't know. But Amy has been asking, is there a word limit or length for donation messages?
That's a great question. I don't know. I've not donated to my own crowdfunder. So I believe, in fact, if I look at the supporters...
I mean, don't take the mickey.
Yes.
And if you type into the text box and it stops, you should probably
yes,
do a short message.
I'm just looking at the comments. I think you'll have to comment on it, or if this becomes a nightmare, donate, and it'll be the honor system, and you can put your message into chat. If for any reason you run into your problems, there is a comments page on Crowdfunder, and you should be able to post it there. But if you try, it goes wrong. Something goes wrong. Just tell us in chat, and we'll work it out.
Yeah.
We will work it out. Oh, and very importantly, do not send anything to Ko-fi. Do not send anything to the Brothers Meredith. Do not try and subscribe for this one moment. In the future, give me the money.
Yep.
But for this thing, it's through the Tiny URL G.O.B.L.I.N.S pod crowdfunder page or similar associated pages, so
Indeed.
we don't get confused.
Also, if you just type in Goblins Pod Fundraiser, I think was the first one.
Oh, we got great SEO. We're the only piece of Goblins we have got weirdly good SEO.
We do have weirdly good SEO. Not if you put in Goblins.
If you just put in the word
Well,
Goblins.
no, Goblins Fundraiser gets you an ancient fundraiser for the now extremely defunct webcomic and very weird webcomic Goblins.
Look, that was a project I worked on very hard for many years.
It was a project that I read until it stopped, and it got well weird. It got really strange.
I was going through a tough time.
Anyway, yeah.
Right. So on to the actual. And I use this phrase advisedly.
Okay, wait, hang on. Sorry, somebody's already just donated £400.
Hang on a second. Let me just hang on. What the tits? Hang on. Yes, they certainly did. I don't know.
Wow.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna hang on. I wasn't prepared. Emotionally, physically.
Well, I mean, that's good. We can wrap up. I think we're done.
No,
See you later.
Denna Ryan donated.
Jesus Christ!
Thank you very much. With no nothing else on there that I can see to indicate requiring anything of us. So incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, thank you very much.
Well, I mean,
good start.
Danny, you've got all of the stuff that £400 gets you.
Obviously, if you donate over the crowdfunder, all of the rewards that are listed there still apply. They're not overwritten by the fact that we're doing this via the fundraiser, via this particularly fun stream.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you very much. We'll get into the meat of the podcast, and then we'll take a pause between podcast stream, and then we'll take a pause between stories to do admin and thank yous and such. But a good start from Denna Ryan. Thank you very, very much. So let's go to the big list of stories.
Yes.
So this first one was written by Imogen Cassidy. You may recognise Imogen Cassidy, a stream stalwart.
Indeed.
And it is a story called Sister Snips. Content warnings for Sister Snips: surgery, medical malpractice, cult themes, some gore. Yeah.
And also, please be aware, I'm reading the sight unseen because of the aforementioned having no time. So, this is live. This will not be perfect.
I don't know if he's mentioned that he has children. I don't know if it's come up.
Shush. Sister Snips by Imogen Cassidy. Sister 9 dreams of Uncle 11. She can feel the warmth of his larger hand over hers as he guides her in the steps to lay out her tools for surgery. She can feel the difference in the texture of his skin, in the rough, dry pads of his fingers. There is kindness in that touch, something gentle and comforting in the sterile white of the training room. Am I doing it right, Uncle? She hears herself ask in the dream, even though she knows the answer. You're learning, Uncle 11 answers, and she looks up to see the ghost of a smile on his face. You're learning fast. Will it be enough? His eyes search hers. I hope so, sister, he says. I hope so. Dawn cool shifts Sister 9 out of slumber, a shock of cold air from the conditioner above her head accompanying the blaring music as Father makes his regular morning address. The words wash over her, meaningless after years of repetition. Of course, it is a recorded message. There is no way the voice coming from the speakers dotted around the compound comes from lips flushed red with the blood of the living. That breath there, the one that he takes between duty and diligence, was taken before she was born, bottled and preserved to be breathed out all over them with the dawn of each day. She has started, recently, to wonder if Father is still alive. It's possible, of course, more than. The years are not counted as diligently as they were in the times of her eldest sisters and brothers and uncles and aunts, but the work means it is very difficult to judge the upper limits of a single person's lifespan. As long as they are loyal to the family, and of course, Father cannot be otherwise, for Father is the heart and soul of the family, Father began the family. As the last of his recorded words fade away, Sister is halfway through her morning ablutions. Her mind has been wandering more these days, and she comes to as his familiar voice fades to find that she has not yet finished dressing. One finger running back and forth over the surgical scar on her lower abdomen. The raised flesh is no different than it's ever been, a ridge of hard, slightly red skin. She pulls her hand away. Now she must rush through dressing to make it out of her cell in time to get to breakfast. Her heart pounds in her throat as she reaches the mess hall, but she is not the last in line. A young, trembling brother fetches up behind her, and an older sister who is wheezing slightly as she walks, and finally one of the uncles who seems unconcerned. Fourth from the end of the line is still troubling, but it shouldn't be enough to send her into a flurry of panicked breaths, heart beating against her ribs. She remembers. She remembers not 3 months past, the two stern brothers who had pulled the elder aunt from the back of the line and marched her to the doors. Remembers how she had protested in a weak and trembling voice, that it wasn't time, that she still deserved her place, that she had done her work, given her due. Her cries could be heard in the corridor until they could not, and breakfast that morning had been utterly, deafeningly silent. She fights to control her breathing, to steady the thump of her heart. She should be fine. So long as she is early for the next week or so, she should be fine. She has never been the last in line. She glances back to see the older sister behind. She does not look fine. Her lips are pale and pressed close together. She is tight around the eyes and her fingers twitch where they are hanging loose by the sides of her scrubs. Sister Nine knows her, she realises, and blinks rapidly, realising she should not. She had seen her face on a table not 2 weeks previously. Careless of her, to look where she is not supposed to look during the all-important work, but the sheet had slipped and Sister Nine had not been able to avoid seeing the soft curve of her cheek and the fine lines around her eyes and the particular shade of her hair. It's a gross violation, this recognition, and Sister Nine has no appetite for the mess of eggs and bread and unidentifiable sauce that is deposited in her plate. She cannot afford not to eat. That will also be noticed. She sits a little apart from the three who are in line behind her, close to the brother she will likely be paired with today, Brother 7. They have worked together before, and he acknowledges her with a short nod as she sits opposite him. As they eat, the eggs taste like rubber and ash in her mouth, the speakers crackle to life and the softer, gentler voice of Mother washes over them. Good news, my children. Today's influx of donors is well above quota, and tomorrow's looks to match it. We are delighted, we are overwhelmed, we are blessed with generosity. Eat quickly, my loves, as you will be busy bees for the next few days, and Father and I need you to be strong and sure, for the good of the family. For the good of the family, Sisters murmurs into her plate, along with the rest of them. Morning exercise is next. She usually enjoys it, filing out into the courtyard with the other brothers and sisters. Uncle and aunts have their own exercise times, and Sister 9 does not know exactly when, or even where. She imagines what Uncle 11 would have chosen during his time here. Did he use the treadmill as she did? She liked the rhythm of her feet, the soft strain in her thighs, liked the feeling of moving forward, even if she was in the same spot. Soft words from Mother or Father droned from the speakers on the walls, but on the treadmill, Sister 9 could ignore them better, listening instead to the beat of her heart in her ears and the slap of her thin-soled shoes on the rubber of the belt. Her eyes stayed fixed on the height of the wall in front of her, grey brick, like all the walls in the compound, hemming her in, keeping her safe, stopping the decadence and horror of the outside world from finding its way into their safe haven, their chance at everlasting paradise. You who weren't born here must learn our ways, Uncle 11 had said to them, huddled and cold in the children's room, before she had even become Sister 9. You're the lucky ones, the ones we managed to save. Mother and Father chose you from thousands because you are strong, because you are worthy, because you will be family. He had smiled, at her specifically. She remembered that so clearly, his deep brown eyes kind and sad all at once. Do not think of outside, he had said, although from what little she could remember, she had been trying desperately not to in any case. It was a jumble of chaos and colour and sharp, overwhelming grief, and these days it was threading increasingly through her dreams. No, much better to focus on his voice, his hands, his smile. She knew that she would do anything to see that smile again. She lays out the tools the uncle will need for the day, checking meticulously if they need to be cleaned. A spot on one of the smaller knives demands polishing and disinfecting. This she does, pouring the required solutions and using the appropriate cloths. The repetitive motion of her hands as she works sure and practised. She did not sleep well. This is becoming more common, and she will not examine the reasons why. Noise at the door makes her start and almost drop the current knife she is working with. A disaster in the sterile and cold lab. She has heard it happen before, with other sisters and brothers, the clatter of a tool on the ground, meaning all preparation and cleaning would have to be done again. It's not the noise that would matter, though, in the end. It would be the humiliation, the failure of her nerves at a crucial moment. The noise is simply Brother 7, opening the door behind her to inform her that it is time. She swallows, places the knife back on its tray and turns to wheel it towards the theatre. The theatre, like all of them, is brightly lit and sterile white, the light so powerful that it is almost impossible to make out what lies behind. She thinks sometimes that she sees windows, places for people to observe what goes on in this room. She imagines a gallery of seats stretching up in rows and rows, thousands upon thousands of eyes all focused on the small table and the cluster of family surrounding it. This is ridiculous, she knows. There are cameras enough through which they are recorded and tallied and found wanting. There is no need for the actual presence of anyone other than her brothers and sisters, her uncle. She wheels the trolley close to the table and glances up at the uncle standing next to it. This is a new uncle. Their last, Uncle 30, had blonde hair, unusual amongst the family, and she remembers the blue of his eyes, the only way to really recognise an uncle, since their faces are so completely masked. There had been an aunt once, she remembers, although she had not lasted very long. And their previous uncle. Uncle 11 had been with them from the time she had first been trained. He had streaks of silver through his hair, and she remembered, though she had barely seen it, the shape of his mouth when he smiled. It's just change, she said to herself. Change is always unsettling. Tall sister, the uncle says, and his voice is calm. She wants to ask his number, but that is something she should already know. If she'd had time this morning, she would have checked the schedule, seen that there was a change, been prepared. It had been more important to make the breakfast line. She wonders if she was wrong. She wonders if the uncle had seen the shock, if the cameras had recorded it, if some unknown sister or brother had made careful blank check in a box next to her name. This uncle is young. There are no lines next to his eyes, and his hair is solid brown, the same as every other brother. The same as Uncle 11's had probably been, before he was old enough for silver to glint under the harsh theatre lights as he worked. They were supposed to live forever, that's what Father said every morning. A bright future, happy and healthy, and together, as a family. Sister, the uncle says, and she blinks. Yes, Uncle. She wheels the trolley close, ready to hand the uncle what he requires. Brother 7 checks the monitor next to the table, professional and sure. It should be reassuring. It is not. The speakers around the theatre crackle to life. Brothers and sisters, it is Father's voice, of course. Your dedication and your perseverance and your loyalty is, as always, treasured by us. Mother and I appreciate your diligence. Remember your duty. Remember their ultimate sacrifice. We bow our heads. We murmur alongside Father in quiet unison. For the benefit of the family. She hands the uncle the first tool he requires, her gloved fingers careful not to touch his. As he makes the first incision, she glances down at the uncle's hands, and for the first time she notices the very slightest of shakes. She looks up at his face to see beads of sweat on his forehead above the surgical mask, and thinks about how Father will not like that. Will not like that the uncle is showing signs of fatigue. Perhaps it is a good thing that she did not find out his number. She watches as the skin peels back, revealing fat and tissue underneath, blood staining the blue of the uncle's gloves a vivid red. It is a perfect cut, despite the shake in the uncle's hands. She hears him let out a breath and pull in another, the sound loud enough to be heard over the squelch of fluids and shifting sinew as he begins to probe deeper. She tries to remember if the previous uncle had breathed that way. She tries to remember anything about him, but the details keep slipping out of her grasp. Blonde hair morphs into silver-streaked brown, and under his masked face she can still see his smile. He should have gone to join Father and Mother. He'd served well. Served. Past tense. Rendered. Done. Finished. Like the body on the table. She must focus. The scalp in the uncle's hand is glistening with fluids. Are some of them sweat? The tremble is more pronounced. His breath in her ears feel like deep, gasping breaths of someone who is drowning. She risks a quick glance over at Brother 7, but he is focused on the work, not on the uncle who is supposed to be in charge, who is supposed to be composed and calm and reassuring, who is supposed to care. She does not think the shakes and the sweat and the breathing could be caused by anything other than fatigue. As Mother had said in the announcement, there were many donations today. Perhaps this uncle had been in theatre while she was sleeping. She knows there are sometimes night shifts, and has even worked a few. Is it the uncle's hand that is shaking? Or is it her? The uncle passes Sister 9 the soiled scalpel, and she places it carefully on the cleaning pan. Or tries to. It slips and clatters, and there is a splash as it slides to the bottom of the pool of liquid. She watches as blood clouds and rises in the clean water, the sound of her heart in her throat loud enough to echo through the entire theatre, loud enough to be heard by Brother 7, by the uncle, by Mother and Father, and all of their children. Sister 9, the uncle said, and his voice is mild. She sucks in a breath and reaches for the next tool. As she hands the scissors to him, she glances down and sees a wisp of silver hair that has escaped the cap that covers the body's head. No. Sister 9, the uncle says, and his voice is terse now, and she is being watched. She tucks the strand of hair back underneath the elastic and does not listen to the soft beats of the body's heart. It does not matter whose uncle, whose brother, or whose sister they might have been. It does not matter. Her heart feels like it will burst in her chest. It matters. The end. There we go.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for the story, Imogen Cassidy. Very atmospheric. Very spooky. Thank you very much, Ben. And
Yes.
you know what the best thing about any charity fundraising live stream?
Mm-hmm.
It's technical admin.
Oh, okay, good.
I know you've been waiting. For
No,
some
please,
technical admin.
absolutely. This is my favourite bit.
It's your favourite bit. So it turns out that the interface on the crowdfunder website is really like, yeah, some stuff's happened. Yeah, at some point.
Oh.
So I'm refreshing and trying to keep up with it, but it kind of updates every now and again. So please do, donators, keep an ear out, and if you think we've missed something because the interface is deeply unclear, do let us know. But we had a lot in.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone.
A good amount. I mean, I think we have raised close to £1,000
Oh.
so far.
Christ. Okay.
Yeah. And the thing that tells me who supported and how much they've paid, that's a completely different page from the comments, which contains the things people want to say. And yeah, they do update at different speeds. So
Cool.
keep an ear out, folks.
Maybe one thing might be if you're going to donate and you want a comment, put like from the stream in brackets to like tag it effectively.
Yeah. And we can work out what's happened so far. But yeah, you know what? Assume we're very, very thick and need a lot of help.
Okay, thick like that. Okay, thick with a K, not with two C's. Fine.
Oh no, sorry. We're dummy thick, and we need all the help that we can get.
I'm trying to do voice acting for a fundraiser, but the clap on my ass keeps getting on the recording.
Look, and that is why you need baffling in a studio to at least dampen the echo of the clap. Right, so I've also been informed it's actually Deanna. Deanna donated, not as I said, Dana. Different thing.
Yeah,
Deanna.
Yeah, for 400 quid.
For 400 quid, I'll
get their goddamn name
I'll pronounce
right.
your name right. I'm cool like that. With the message, hey Ben and Tim, just wanted to thank you for all you do and all the creativity you put in your projects. Love you guys. Best of luck in all that you do. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you hugely for that. What are my own donation levels? Okay, so the next one we have is from Firefly, and it is a £30, so I do need to defend Firefly.
As Drexel. From the Institute.
Well, welcome to the Institute. What institute?
I think you have to come up with a new institute each time, Tim.
The Institute of Current Affairs. It's like Current Affairs, but I've lit a little matchy under it, and it's burning down the house. No, don't sing the song. I haven't got the money for the rights. Now, you're the director. I'm not. Hello.
There he is.
There he
This
is.
is the guy.
Now, I'm not a director. I'm just an administrative, I'm going to say ninja.
Admin ninja.
But I think you should reconsider the murder of Firefly. I know you think they're a threat.
Wait, sorry, I'm the one that's...
Oh, you're on there.
Oh, okay.
You're in the hot
I'm
seat.
considering, right, so you need to convince me.
Firefly has transgressed. I understand that.
Okay.
They've got involved in forces they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
They've meddled in factors.
Yes.
On the other hand, they do have my car keys.
Yes.
And I do need to get inside my 1995 Toyota Camry.
But they did put out all those fires.
I know, and you like the fires.
Yes.
You want things to burn.
Inside.
But I cannot establish quite how important it is I have access to my 1995 Toyota Camry.
Okay, so fundamentally the only reason you want... who was it again?
Firefly,
to get off is because you need to get in your car.
a 1995 Toyota Camry.
Yes.
I've souped it up with an injector,
Okay.
which is I've dumped a load of syringes in the bonnet and hoped that's the same thing.
Yep.
And I need it.
Where are you trying to go? Why is this so important?
Bonnaroo.
Bonnaroo.
I'm going to Bonnaroo.
You're going to Bonnaroo.
I'm going to party at Bonnaroo.
What? Okay, you're going to party. So what you're saying is you want me to allow Firefly to get away with doing something that is expressly against what this institute does because you want to get into your 1995 Toyota Camry in order to go to Bonnaroo to party.
You've missed something important.
It's
full of syringes.
It's full of syringes.
It's full of syringes.
Are you going to be topping up the syringes in
It's
Bonnaroo?
Bonnaroo. What do you expect?
Okay.
All right, for your consideration.
For my consideration.
Oh, we've got so many of these.
Oh, no. No, sorry. This is great. You've all given us a lot of money and we really appreciate it.
We might be bumping a story. That's all I'm saying.
Firefly's actually been to Bonnaroo.
Have you not? You know what? Gun to my head. Couldn't tell you what Bonnaroo is other than a festival that involves probably drugs. That's it. That's all I know.
Probably drugs.
Probably drugs.
Probably drugs.
Probably drugs. The next one we have is from, let me double check the names because we have the names. Foxglove Pal has donated a cool £80,
Blimey.
which is sort of beyond.
Yeah, okay, just to be clear as well, look. So Deanna's 400 quid is very, very impressive.
Yes.
That has meant that we'll hear less than £400 and be like, okay, that's less than £400. £80 is still so much money to give us for our
£30
nonsense.
is still plenty of money. Do you know what's also
so
a good
much
amount of money, Ben?
Yeah.
£1.
Any money.
Hi. Just £1 a month can
Keep the team behind Stella Firma, just making bullshit.
Make me do this a bit.
Mate, you'll make him do that for £1 a month. Honestly, 100 people giving him £1 a month for him to do that.
That's
£100 for doing a silly dance. That's
just
great.
maths.
You know.
Right.
Economies of scale, people.
So thank you. So as it's therefore unclear which thing they're going for, I'm just going to very sincerely thank Foxglove Pal.
Okay.
From all of us here, Ben, thank Foxglove Pal.
Thank you.
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
No. Thank you.
But seriously, thank you.
No, come back. Thank you.
Ta.
Cheers. Imogen Cassidy, who has already supplied a lovely story, has got a defence donation. Did you enjoy the story?
Huh?
Did you enjoy Imogen's story?
Yeah.
Well, then what the hell?
What?
Were you going to kill him?
Maybe.
Well, they provided a lovely story.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey. What institute am I the head of?
Well, of course, this is the Institute for
Yes.
Modern Prance.
Modern Prance.
It's like dance.
Yes.
It's very different.
The Imp.
Can I show you?
I'm head of the Imp. Now remember, the institution's son is sleeping upstairs.
Oh, it's going to be a gentleman.
Okay.
Dance.
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 Dance?
Prance.
Okay. Okay. And what terrible crime has Imogen, potentially invoked the death penalty for?
Tax fraud.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough.
Yeah, it's
we do
white-collar
take this
crime.
very seriously.
It's very important. Yeah, unfortunately, Imogen is the bursar of the Institute of Modern Prance. And I'm pretty sure a bursar has something to do with money.
Yes.
They've taken it.
Oh.
And they've declared it a charitable donation to themselves.
Ah.
That's not how it works.
And here at the Institute of Modern Prance, we hate charity.
We hate charity. We actually don't think that charity should exist. And if we find a charity director, we prance him. Pranced. Prance him right out of here.
Yeah.
Try not to fall over.
How many of these are there?
Loads.
Okay, we should make them quicker.
So, survived?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Alexander Bachman.
Sorry, we really, really want to give them the time that the £30 deserves,
many of
but also we've been too successful.
Amy's ringing me. That's always a good sign.
This is good, yeah.
Hello. Okay. This is a very good point. So when we come to Obsessed, we need to remember the key word, night shift. Thank you. We're on a tight ship here.
Yeah.
This was just a message. You know what? You can just read that out from Etre Libre. Just there.
What?
Just there. Just leave that.
Okay. Can't wait for a new podcast from you guys. Love Etre Libre.
No love you, Etre Libre. No love you, actually.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
I think that was just that one.
That's very strange.
It's very strange. Well, I'm just trying.
Hang on a minute. I could just have the fundraising.
Oh my
thing up
god,
there.
you could just have it.
I have a computer too. You see?
I think we should sing Etre Libre, a 12-second song. Are you ready? Ooh, Etre Libre. Ooh, Etre Libre.
Ooh, Etre Libre. Ooh, Etre Libre.
Thank you for your donation. We are having lots of fun. That's not 12 seconds.
Oh,
one more
no.
one more verse.
Ooh, etra libre.
Ooh,
etra libre.
I had such specific plans about how this would go, and it's not even slightly like that.
Oh.
An anonymous donation of £15. Thank you very much to whoever that was. Capri House has pledged £10. Thank you so much to Capri House. An anonymous £100 donation. Thank you very much to that person.
Oh.
Thank you very much to the anonymous person. And then we're into the last four before another story.
Okay.
This one from G.O.B.L.I.N.S has donated. They have donated £40, so I am going to defend them. What's your name again?
Trongus.
Director Trongus. Now, we here at the Institute
Yes.
of Guns.
Yes.
The
Director Trongus of the Institute of Guns. That's
now,
me.
Trongus
Yes.
loves firearms.
I love them.
Historical, modern,
Futuristic.
futuristic,
Fantasy.
archaic,
Anything.
steampunk.
Yep. Give me a gun, I'll fire it. Bang.
Bang. G.O.B.L.I.N.S has obviously been advocating for our disbarment due to factors.
Disgusting.
And I know that means you want them dead.
Yes. Shot.
However,
Yes.
can I make a case?
Okay.
They have got the keys to my 1995 Toyota Camry.
Okay.
Now, you
Was
may
this
you
before
may
or after?
no, you
Sorry?
may be asking yourself,
Yes.
didn't somebody else also have the keys to your 1995 Toyota Camry?
Well, I wouldn't ask that because I was a different person at the time.
No, that was us, but we got fired, remember?
Oh, so I've always been Director Trongus?
You've always been
Oh,
Director
sorry.
Trongus.
Okay.
This is the first time we've
Director
established...
Trongus and Traxel. You know, the classic double act.
Now, you might be asking yourselves, viewers, how have you been in charge of so many institutes where we're actually part of a elite squad that goes into failing institutes and
Yes.
tries to rework them?
Yep.
Hence our many jobs. But they have got the keys to my 1995 Toyota Camry. It is a different one, though.
Oh.
It's not the Bonnaroo one.
Did you trash it at Bonnaroo?
I did trash it at Bonnaroo. I filled it with sand, thinking it would go cooler. It went broken.
Yeah, it went broken. Okay, well, look. Obviously, we'd expected to just shoot them. But actually, I think I'll be lenient. We will merely fire them out of a trebuchet.
I think
think
what?
that's reasonable.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, thank you. Good.
Compromise for a better Britain. Wonderful stuff. Right, last few. This next one from Red Dead Zombie. I don't know who Red Dead Zombie specifically is. That might be anonymous, but they've asked if you can read out that Invictus.
Okay.
If you can read Invictus.
Okay. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Haunting. Thank you very much to them. Elizabeth Atkinson has donated. Thank you very much, Elizabeth Atkinson. Dr. Loop has donated. Laura Schulpertz has donated.
Schuttpels? I took a swing. I took a swing.
Schulpertz. With this message, if you can read that.
Yes, I was expecting one of these. Hello, John. Apologies for the deception, but I wanted to make sure you started reading, so I thought it best not to announce myself.
That's from...
I can't remember.
And also, thank you very much to Leah, who has pledged £213.
What? Bloody hell.
Very specific.
Why did I do that? I've turned it to Alan Bennett.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's such a big donation, I've turned into Alan Bennett.
I always did enjoy large donations. So did Mother. Obviously, that was before she died down a well. There is not currently a accompanying comment that I can see from Leah, but obviously I've already mentioned the website updates intermittently, so I'll keep an eye out for that. If I've totally missed you, please do let us know. But
Indeed.
for now, let us return to the stories.
Okay.
And as it happens, this is from and by Lou Sutcliffe, our dearest friend. The story is called The Worst Thing That Ever Happened on the Job. Content warnings for death and dying, electrocution, caves and underground, references to illness, rats, rot decay, and explosions. and I'll just post the link in the chat so you
All
can
right.
read along.
Just let me know my levels are okay. I thought I was peaking a little bit, so I've turned them down. We good?
That's good.
Okay. The worst thing that ever happened on the job. So you want to hear about the worst thing that ever happened to me on the job? I warn you, it's nasty. I had nightmares for years after, and I still don't much like thinking about it. It was when I just qualified. Me and my mate Brian got sent out on a job. Really, they shouldn't have sent out two lads barely out of apprenticeship like that, but there was a flu going around and two of the other electricians had called in sick, so it was us. We knew each other pretty well and we worked well together. He was a bit of a lad, you know, liked to go out on a Friday night, and I was more of the quiet homebody type who took studying seriously, but he liked me, so if any of the other apprentices tried to pick on me, he'd sort them out, and in return I'd help him with revising. I doubt he would have qualified without my help. We'd been sent up to the house of this old duffer. He was one of those fellows who lives alone halfway up a hillside in the middle of nowhere and hasn't moved for 30 years, and you sometimes read about them being found 3 weeks after they died, half-eaten by their cats. Well, when we got there, the house itself was oddly roomy. You expect these cottages to be all pokey kitchens and tiny attic rooms, but these rooms were big. The old fellow's furniture seemed to huddle against the walls as if it didn't belong there, and I was worried it'd be thrown out. The wiring was ancient too. The board was something I'd only seen in books. Pretty sure the regs didn't even cover it. It was so old. The old boy wasn't even on the grid. He had a generator, and he thought there was something up with it because it had always done fine, but now the lights kept flashing or going dim. We had a look at it, and it seemed to be running fine. So then we started testing on what passed for his ring main. It was a mess with random spurs running off here and there. And eventually, we'd been all around the cottage looking for faults, and all we found was a few sockets with slightly dodgy wiring, which we fixed. We asked him if there was anything we'd missed, and he showed us the trapdoor into a massive cellar. When we asked about it, he said the cottage had originally been built as part of a mine working, and probably hadn't even been a house back then, but maybe some sort of pumping station or administrative building. The cellar was full of old junk, so we had to pick our way around, but at least we could follow the main easily down there, as it wasn't plastered into the wall. It led us to a wooden door, which seemed to have been inserted into a much bigger aperture at the end of the cellar, which was now bricked up. When we tried the door, it was either not locked or the lock had rusted away because Brian pulled it open easily. Inside was a short shaft accessed by an old wooden ladder with the main leading down it. This had been where the problem was. Buggered old electrics, underground where the damn poor rats could damage them. I wasn't sure if we should go down, as things were starting to get a bit too interesting for my liking. I was out of my depth, literally and figuratively, and I wanted to call into the office and get one of the more senior fellas up there, but Brian was keen to go down and see what was what before we bothered anyone else, so we went to get the big torch from the van, and after checking the ladder for rot, climbed down. I mean, these days, you wouldn't catch anyone doing things like that without specialist safety equipment, but it was different back then. The ladder wasn't that long, and at the bottom was a passage into the old mine workings. We headed down, following the old cabling, which must have been easily 100 years old. It was dead quiet down there, so when we heard the first knock, it made us both jump out of our skins. I remember my granddad saying that old mines made all sorts of knocking and popping noises, which were often a sign of a pocket of fire damp or even a collapse about to happen, so I warned Brian we shouldn't go much further. He told me I was fussing over nothing and carried on ahead of him. I'd had just about enough at this point and told him I was turning back to call the office. He told me to go ahead. Just then there was another knock down the passageway. Brian went off after it. Brian went off after it, following the noise and the cables, but I turned the other way. I started walking back, but being alone made me scared, and I only had my little headlamp, so it didn't take long before I panicked, changed my mind, and started after him. I called out to him, but he didn't answer. I rounded a corner and saw him standing ahead of me in the lamplight. The big torch in his hands was out, and he was stood stock still. I was about to walk up to him and ask why he'd stopped when I heard another loud knock on the wall just to my right, and it made me stop in my tracks, and that's what saved my life. If I'd gone up to him or touched him, I wouldn't have lived to tell the tale. I moved my headlamp to look at the wall, and that's where I saw Brian was right up against it, and his elbow was in contact with a damaged section of cabling. The passageway had become narrower, and he'd had to move to squeeze past. He was stood in a puddle that had run down the wall nearby and accumulated on the floor, and it looked like the insulation on the cables on that wall had perished from the water damage. It was then I noticed the smell of cooking meat. And then I realised that Brian, who was facing away from me, was completely rigid. I swore under my breath and stepped carefully away from him and turned and ran all the way back to the ladder. I struggled up into the cellar and shouted for the old man to call an ambulance and that I was turning off the electricity. I flipped the breaker to the whole house, trying not to think about Brian down there in the dark. I grabbed my tools and headed to the cellar and, with shaking hands, disconnected the spur leading down to the mine. The ambulance seemed to take forever to get up the hill to us. The old man was white as a sheet, and I was worried he might have a heart attack and the ambulance would be coming for 2 bodies and I'd be alone in the house with them. While we waited, I used the old man's phone to call the office and let them know what had happened. The manager said he was coming straight up there. When they arrived, the paramedics didn't complain about having to go down the ladder and into the passage, although one of them did mention that they might have to call someone if they didn't have the right equipment. They wouldn't let me go into the mine, only asked me what to look out for. I waited with the old man, and eventually one of them came up out of the mine and told me that he was sorry, but my colleague was dead. I didn't say anything, I just nodded. He went back down with a stretcher, and they all returned a little later with someone strapped in it. The ladder was short enough that between us we were able to pass the body up, but not without some difficulty. I almost dropped my end a couple of times because the fabric kept catching on things all the way up. My manager showed up just before the ambulance took the body away, and between the two of us we made the house's wiring safe so the old man wouldn't be without power. The old man kept saying how sorry he was, and my manager also kept apologising too, and I just said nothing and worked. In the van on the way back to the office, I answered my manager's questions. I didn't mention the knocking. I just said I spotted something off about Brian. Didn't want to think I was mad. The manager said I was right, that we should have called in, but asked me not to mention that, as it was going to be hard enough to tell Brian's mum without worrying about any insurance not paying out. I said I wouldn't. It was all a dreadful accident, my manager said. Nothing anyone could have done. I agreed. My mind was elsewhere. I couldn't stop thinking about the knocking. I asked my granddad later what it might have been, and that's when he told me about the fire damp. I wondered if a spark from a damaged main arcing could ignite a gas pocket, and I couldn't stop thinking about when we were carrying the body up out of the mine, and the last time the stretcher fabric caught on the board and pulled back, and how for a moment I saw Brian's face. I can still see it now. I'll never forget it as long as I live. His eyes were charred black holes, and his mouth was frozen in a silent, unending scream. The end.
The true horror is badly maintained wiring.
Yeah.
And potential mind ghosts.
And maybe mind ghosts.
But potentially mind ghosts, but also insulate your wiring, people.
Yeah.
I like that one. Thank you very much.
Also, I don't know how to finish them. I'm like, when I finish, I have the impulse to go like, ta-da!
You should do this, Ben. You should say, drama.
Oopsie daisy.
Whoop-de-woo. Someone's had a real oh-no. Right, I didn't want to do this in the middle of a story and ruin the atmosphere.
It's his cider.
Got cider. Right.
Also, just in case anybody's wondering, I am drinking a delightful non-alcoholic Guinness because I'm a responsible boy.
I'm drinking an Inch's medium apple cider. You can get them in large apple cider and small apple cider, but I've gone for medium apple cider.
You're a powerful idiot.
Hello. When will they harness me for good? I don't know. Imaging Game suggests that shit was crazy. Anyway, donate to our crowdfunder.
Oh, we've just hit 50%.
Oh, hang on, let me refresh. I feel like I've got it on my phone and on my computer. Every single number is different. Every single place.
Wait, what have you got?
So I've got 49%, 11,873.
Oh, see, I've got 50%, 12,083.
And on my phone, I've got 11,610.
This is great.
I just think the way crowdfunder works is it's not the same as Ko-fi, where it's as immediate. So in which case, you can thank people directly from there. I think Liz was the last big donation that we didn't have a comment for, but I think I can see it's now come in. Yes, it has. Oh, I see. Yes, hang on. Leah, who donated £213, has asked if you can read this little rant, and they've got a link. So I'm just getting that.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Up.
Hang on. I'll get it.
If you got that lovely stuff.
Oh no, I've been using a Mac at work, and now I'm hitting Windows C.
Oh, you command-based fool.
Yeah.
Whilst you're doing that, Lou, I think for the rule, Tim must, let's say, summarise his Shakespeare play of choice in the highest possible voice while attempting to wear some random object on his head. Lou, I don't understand.
You assume I can remember any Shakespeare.
Yeah, I know. And it's Tim as well.
Oh, it's you.
Yeah, it's not even for you.
Fine, do it.
From what light yonder window break?
Oh, he's got some wargaming
Oh,
grass.
I thought I could lean, but I couldn't lean far enough. Right, have you got...
Yeah, I've got it. Okay, so
Lovely
the big
stuff.
challenge here from all the comments, because everyone's like, do stuff as Elias, and I'm like, I can't remember how to do the voice.
Right, imagine you,
Yeah.
but like real spooky.
Real spooky.
A real spooky boy.
So, but just a fair warning, I'll do my best, but it's been a long time. Oh, we still got swearing. Oh yeah, we've been swearing, haven't we?
It's fine, it's a mature stream.
It's a mature stream. G.O.B.L.I.N.S. Stupid idiot motherfucking G.O.B.L.I.N.S. Goddamn fool book collecting, dust eating, rat old bastard, shithead idiot, avatar of the hall, biggest clown in the circus, laughed out of town, cowboy, motherfucking G.O.B.L.I.N.S. Stop pinning me when I talk about G.O.B.L.I.N.S. I hate him so much. Why does he have so many fucked up books? Why did he decide to fuck around and find out? Just set them loose. Is he dead? Is he a bastard? Man has such a visceral effect on me. Not even in the room. Never seen the man's face, and I know he has the world's shittiest beard. Get away from me. If I wanted to get into heaven, and God said G.O.B.L.I.N.S. waiting inside, I would piss on God's feet for the sole purpose of getting sent back down. If I have to deal with G.O.B.L.I.N.S. speaking one word in person, on voice, in a podcast, not only will I close the tab, I will delete my bookmark out of spite, and I have to rewatch the entire series again for the experience of being able to skip all the times when he is mentioned or alive. I don't even know why I hate him so much. He collects books, but I am just mad because I am angry. He better have some fucked up backstory to explain this. If he's just some rich shithead who is a fan of creepypasta and wants the IRL version, I'll go ham. Better have had a book make him kill a man, because if he didn't, I'm going to make him. PayPal.com/I fucking hate G.O.B.L.I.N.S. Episode's not even about him. Vaguely mentioned what is supposed to be maybe as his library, and I lost it. Where the fuck is G.O.B.L.I.N.S? If he's still alive, I'm going to so deeply wish he wasn't. Crusty old man. I'll punch Leitner, and his sad, frail old man, Twig Bones, will simply flake apart under my epic, huge meat fist, and he will disintegrate until all that's left is one final book he kept on him at all times, simply titled, Now You Fucked Up in Ancient Yiddish. I'm not breathing. I'm hyperventilating at this point. I hope there's a date given for when Jürgen died, or I will die so I can make it a reminder on my phone. Every day, once a year, I will see it, and I will do anything but pay respects to the man who has had so many fucked up, if true, books. Oopsie daisy.
That was spooky. Anyway, donate to our crowdfunder. Lovely stuff. I enjoyed much of that. Meat fists.
Yep.
Good stuff. We have a couple. Laura Schuttpels has donated a few times. And
Gaming the system.
Gaming. Hey, it's fine. Ben, it all spends the same. So if you could read out Laura Schuttpels' various messages.
Okay. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, yeah. And these are all as Elias, I think?
Yeah.
Hey, you. You're finally awake. You were trying to cross the border, right? Walked right into that Imperial ambush. Same as us. And that thief over there.
What's that from?
That's from Skyrim. Come on.
I don't remember.
Get on the internet, you dickhead.
Well, I took a memory to the brain and it broke, and then I stopped being a knee adventurer. Have I done it right?
Yeah, that's
Have I done
pretty
it
much
correct?
it. Yeah, no, well done.
Right, next one.
Very good. The one at the top.
Yeah.
How is Martin, by the way? He looks well. You will keep an eye on him when all of this is over, won't you? He's earned that.
And that's also from
Yeah,
Skyrim?
no, I've got no idea on that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm assuming Skyrim. Thank you very much to Keely Gibson, who sent the message, Hello, boys. Can't wait to hear more. I'm also thoroughly enjoying Tim popping into frame every now and again, and then you two being chaotic despite the fact it being a very scary stream.
Yep.
Good luck, boys.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think I've got everything. So things turn up in this comment section, like further back, but only just get through. So again, if you feel we've massively missed something, I'm pretty sure we've got everything that I can see.
Yeah.
So
yell at us if we've missed your stuff.
Yell at us. But thank you very much to everyone. Oh, hang on. Odin's Pigeons has donated £30.
Oh, time to fuck this up.
Director Trungle!
Yes.
Please, can I come in?
Yes, Trexel.
Director Trungle, I just got a memo that you were going to kill Odin's Pigeons.
Yes, and could you just describe the letterhead on that memo, please?
Well, yes, of course, it said, from the desk of Director Trungle, Director of the Institute of having a real big think before you take your family to France.
That's it.
Obviously, this was instituted after Brexit, and we wanted people to think real hard before they went to the continent.
Important.
Now, obviously, Odin's Pigeons and I have beef. You know what? We don't just have beef, we got 2 cows.
Have you got buff?
We've got beef. We've got both bourguignon. Because I have tried to compose a number of songs for Odin's Pigeons,
Yes.
all of which have been perfectly fine.
Yeah, we're well aware.
Perfectly fine.
They're all on the work calendar.
Yeah, well, that's
You invite us to the pub to sing them to us.
Where else are you supposed to put that stuff?
Anyway, so
But-
what's happened to your Toyota Camry?
Okay, so my 1995 Toyota Camry is currently parked in Odin's Pigeons lockup
Right.
in South Islington. I haven't got the key to that. I've got the key to the Camry this time. I learnt my lesson from the past 2 times. I got the key to the Camry.
But you don't have the key.
I don't have the key to the lockup, and I don't need to tell you there's a lot of syringes I want back inside that Toyota Camry.
Okay.
So can I trust on your support this election, in the election of not killing Odin's Pigeons?
Remind me again why I'm killing Odin's Pigeons. I just want to...
Oh, you thought they were a threat to the Institute?
yes.
Because they were just going to willy-nilly go to Paris.
Yeah, they kept posting those pamphlets about how good France was to visit.
France, don't think about it too hard. That was the name of the pamphlet.
All right, okay. I'm thinking, all right, no killing, fine.
No killing, okay.
If they can produce
Yes.
a lot of anti-France pamphlets for us to distribute.
France. Don't do it.
Just come on.
The French, even they don't like each other very much.
Yeah.
Right? I'll sing a song to them about how that's how they'll survive.
Please do.
And then they'll fucking criticize it. And an anonymous donation of £100. Thank you very much to that person, anonymously.
Oh.
And also Charlie Vardy has donated £30. So I do also need to defend Charlie Vardy. I'm seeing here, there is somebody who earlier said, where was the night thing?
Oh, yeah.
There was a thing. There was a night thing.
Nightfall.
Who was Nightfall?
Who was Nightfall? Someone.
Someone was Nightfall, and I was like, I've got this.
A name that I recognise. It's Obsessed?
So it's not yet come in.
Okay, but Obsessed says Me, I'm Here, which I hope is related to that.
Dr. Loop, I will
Night
get
Shift.
to you. Night Shift. It's Night Shift and it's Obsessed. All right, I don't think that's come in
Yeah,
yet.
there's nothing...
I don't
not
think that's
seeing
come in
anything,
yet.
I don't think.
Oh, hang on. Oh, okay. Yes, I have also mixed Dr. Loop because Dr. Loop donated over the above amount. That means I need to defend them. So I'll do Dr. Loop first, then Charlie Vardy. I'm going to bring a chair because this crouching is making me so sweaty.
What's Dr. Loop done?
Director, please.
Trexel.
I put Dr. Loop inside a 1982 Toyota Hilux.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't mine. I did them wrong.
Who? Okay.
And I owe them a favour.
Right.
And we here at the Institute...
Sorry, are they still in there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
In the trunk. And we here at the Institute of Modern Loving have a kind soul, wouldn't you agree?
Well, we are very modern about it.
We're very modern.
Progressive, even.
Progressive about procreation.
Well, yes, but even, loving isn't just sex.
Is it not?
Now, get your head out of the gutter, Trexel.
But I'm old gutterface.
Yeah.
But either way, I know that you feel that Dr. Loop is a threat to the Institute for Modern Loving because they are an old-fashioned lover boy.
Yeah.
You heard them listening to that Queen song.
Yeah.
Just an old-fashioned lover boy. And you said, no!
Pardon? Remember, the Institute's son is sleeping upstairs.
No. With the Institute for Modern Loving, death to you. But I really do owe them a big favour because, as I say, they are currently inside the trunk of a Toyota Hilux, which I think might be a pickup truck. So it's a
It is. It's often turned into technicals with guns on the back of them.
I've got one of those little like rolly shutters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, it does sound like they've been punished enough because they are currently in the back of a Toyota Hilux that isn't theirs or yours, just someone.
No, I just found one and popped them in.
It sounds like you've pre-punished them. Good job.
And then finally in this section, no, not finally, there's two to do. Charlie Vardy. I don't know much about Charlie Vardy, unless Charlie Vardy goes by a different name. Let's check the comments. Nothing. Nothing that I can see.
Laura's put in another one.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Laura, because there's quite so many.
Vex, sorry.
Vex. You can Ben will read that, and I'll just think really hard about defending you because there's too many things to do right now. So I'm defending Charlie Vardy. Director Trongle.
Mm.
I think you should kill Charlie Vardy.
Okay.
Zag. I've zagged on you.
Why?
Because they stole.
Yeah. Your Toyota.
No.
Oh,
See,
1995.
you think you know me.
Okay.
You think you know me and you make assumptions.
2003 Nissan Micra.
How did you know?
Mm.
How did you know? Yes, Charlie Vardy stole my 2003 Nissan Micra. Some people say it's a frumpy car. A car without excitement. I say it's just classic good value motoring.
Yes.
Now, obviously, as we all know, I can't drive. But I do own quite a few cars that I do drive. I shouldn't, but I do. And Charlie Vardy stole that 2003 Nissan Micra from me. And therefore, I think you should murder them. Because, in your capacity as director of small wooden houses, not sheds.
Okay.
These are not sheds. I cannot emphasize to you how much these are not sheds. These are domiciles. People live in them.
Mm-hmm.
They have multiple rooms.
Look, all I'm going to say is that I'm very busy, so just do what you think is right. Well, go on, get killing.
I think I misjudged the meeting. Okay, I'll get killing. I'll get killing. Sorry, Charlie Vardy. I tried to defend you. I tried to mind game him, but he just outthunked me. He's a man of mind chest.
So we've been raided by John Robertson.
We've been driving with John Robertson.
So maybe, hey Tim.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Oh fuck me. Okay. Well.
Hi Raiders.
Hi
Thank you
Raiders.
for coming. This is a weird one.
This is a weird one for you two. Raise. We are currently fundraising. I'll come on to camera.
Hey, I'm gonna go get my second non-alcoholic Guinness beverage.
You scary fuck. Now, what's the best way to thank the Raiders from somebody like good old Robertson's stream? Hello, fuck pigs.
Call them a cunt.
Call them a cunt. Hey, fuck pigs, brackets, cunt. Yeah, sorry, Charlie Vardy, you did die. Thank you very much for joining. We are currently in the middle of a fundraising drive for the G.O.B.L.I.N.S podcast. You can see the details of it over here. That's where you can find the pilot and donate. Here are the live stream rewards that we're doing and the goals we're trying to get to. Here's a shorter link that we made because it's better. And the actual main bulk of it is we're reading spooky stories, or specifically Ben is reading spooky stories. It's very good. I hope you'll stick around to enjoy it. Voltmog, oh fuck's sake, here we go again. Sorry about Twitch multi-raiding like this. That's okay. That's okay. Multi-raiding is fine. Let's go. Ben activated Gremlin mode. He certainly did. We'll have all the raids. In fact, I should see how many we on. Oh, we're at 141 viewers by Christmas Day. So the next story that we're going to read... Oh, yes, how is Fringe going for old John Robertson? I imagine he's fucking exhausted. Absolutely fucking exhausted. And the next one is one about diving. This one was published... Oh, sorry. Imogen Cassidy's was also published already in the Aurelius issue edited by Michael Pryor. And this next one, Bodyline, was in the Fabulous magazine by Inbal Gibola, and that was shared with us by Lily Rose. So we'll do the content warnings just before we start so I don't miss anything. Voltmog, John's doing 3 shows today. That's too many fucking shows. That's too many shows because he's doing the Dark Room, he's doing the Hurricane, and what's the other one that he's doing? Too many shows. Too many shows. And thank you, Amy, for posting all of those links.
I'm just being annoyed at how prolific John Robertson is.
He's doing 3 shows at the Fringe today.
Gee, fuck me.
And if you've ever
and
seen...
streaming?
Yeah. Oh, no, he streams the shows. I think
okay.
that was from his shows. But yes, and I don't know if you've seen him do shows. Quite an energetic man.
Yeah. I saw him do Darkroom at the Spiegel tent.
Oh.
It was a good time.
Right.
Bought a t-shirt.
You shill.
It's too small now.
Too small. It's a big boy.
Yeah.
Right. So, according to this, we are broadly up to date. I've just seen a few more come through, but we'll do a story first, and then we'll do...
Okay, we'll do a story
above.
and then because we've had quite a lot off, haven't we?
Yes, the next story is G.O.B.L.I.N by G.O.B.L.I.N. We were granted express permission. This was submitted by Lily Rose, but Lily Rose knows them and got permission, and I saw it and all. This one was originally published in the Fabulist magazine. Well done. And it has the content warnings of thalassophobia, which is fear of
The
deep and
ocean.
open water and ocean, and drowning.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Okay. G.O.B.L.I.N by G.O.B.L.I.N. It's a landslide of errors. Even the most experienced divers will make just a single mistake and get wrapped up in it, and I'm as experienced as they come. It's never just one thing that goes wrong with cave diving, you know? If it were, it'd be easy to fix it yourself under there or mount a rescue effort. The problem is, problems court more problems, and each one gets harder and harder to solve. Let's say you get separated from your group, and that's problem number one. And then, while looking for your group in the dark, you start breathing fast. You start panicking, and you're using an open circuit system, a rebreather. That means your apparatus recycles your air, mixing it with oxygen to make it last longer and prevent oxygen giggles. And the more you're breathing fast, the more carbon dioxide you're adding, so you're going to start getting hypoxia, narcosis. Now that's 4 problems. You're alone, you're running out of oxygen, you don't know up from down, and the longer you spend down there, the longer your ascent has to be. You drown. It's a landslide of errors. Even the most experienced divers will make just one single mistake and get wrapped up in it, and I'm as experienced as they come. Only 5% of diving deaths happen when exploring caves. I don't know how many that adds up to, given the couple thousand cave divers in the sea. I just knew that I was going to be one tick more on the barometer. This was in Silfra. Not very friendly. You can snorkel if you'd like, or dive fairly deep without too many issues, but if you really want to see the tunnel in all its glory, you need to have technical diving experience and a dry suit. Diving in the fissure between 2 tectonic plates. There's nothing like it in the world. But to do it, you have to go straight down, swimming nearly vertically, with a strong current bearing down on you like you're shuttling through plumbing. They don't call it the toilet just to snigger. I was excited about it, but I wasn't stupid. I've never completed a transverse, you know that? I don't care about the achievement, I don't care about the bragging rights. All I care about is the calm of being down there and surfacing alive afterwards. The only reason I agreed to go down there in the first place is because one of my cave diving friends, we'll call him Sjors for the sake of his family, had already been down there and completed a transverse just the month before. Claimed he found this narrow chute right after the toilet, which he called the gasket. Sjors used to be a plumber and he thought it was funny. He said that it went deeper than the rest of the explored tunnels, but that the exit was higher than the entry, so that you were ascending as you went. If something went wrong, you just had to keep going on through. I said I'd go, but only if he fed through a guideline first, and we were buddy-lined the entire go because of the current pushing down. I didn't want to get turned around. He said he would. It wasn't just Sjors and I. Although Sjors was the only guy I knew, Andy and Emily never ended up going into the water. They were less experienced than Sjors and I, so we said that we'd go through first, and only once we were on the other side and making ascent stops they'd push off. That way, if one of us drowned and blocked the path, they wouldn't get stuck trying to follow us and drown trying to swim back against the current. The day of, it was good weather. Iceland is a beautiful place. Have you been? Nice calm seas, nice grey skies. It was early in the morning and the water was cold, but not too much for our dry suits, and Sjors had the guideline. What we were doing was not exactly permitted, so we wanted to get in and out as cleanly as possible, like open heart surgery. Get in quick, fuck around, and leave behind as few corpses as possible. We went in, Sjors ahead, and then me. You know you can talk with the rebreather in. You have air in your mouth and lungs, so you can make sounds if you'd like. The problem is enunciating, but you can shout. You can scream. First bit of the dive was daisies. We had little problem with the line getting hooked on a ledge and pulling Sjors back. It wasn't a very big tunnel. The cave it split off from was narrow, so there really isn't much room to move around someone once they got stuck. That's what I was worried about most, I'm afraid to say. I really should have been more concerned for Sjors, who was my friend and had a family who cared about him very deeply. But he had taken us down there, and though we agreed to go on, it was easiest to focus on him. To think, if anything went wrong, it's on Sjors. People ask me all the time why I go cave diving. It's a dangerous hobby, and for what? Some caves underwater. Most divers like the exploration. It's a new place where so few people go. It's completely alien. That's certainly part of it, the discovery of a cave unfurling out in front of you like a limb. That's a feeling like no other. Other people like to focus on the physical. Being in the dark, at those depths, is a kind of altered state. Makes you feel loose and happy and alive. For me, it's about the sound. Have you ever put your ear to a seashell and heard the sound of the waves? Diving is a bit like that. There's so much noise around you if you open yourself to it. Clicks and whistles, low, echoing bellows carried from so far away that there's barely any sound to find you. The roar of blood in your ears. If you listen closely, and there's so little to do except listen down there, I think sometimes you can hear someone speaking to you, like when you were a teenager upstairs in your room and you thought you heard your mum calling your name, but she was out getting groceries. The water, it's always saying your name, saying... I remember exactly what went wrong. We were halfway through the cave, according to Sears, and suddenly he just got stuck sideways in the tunnel. I think the problem was with his tanks. He had taken different tanks in the original transverse of the gasket, and these weren't any bigger, but they were slightly different shape than he was used to. When the cave got narrower, they jammed. He tried to worm past, but that just got him stuck facing the wall, and he made this sound of this bark of panic. I started worrying that he'd dropped the rebreather and inhale water, so I went to him right away. First things first, I took one of his tanks so he could fit through the passage. He was breathing hard enough to be putting too much carbon dioxide in his open circuit system. He had to calm down. I noticed that he didn't have the G.O.B.L.I.N on anymore, but I wasn't thinking about that. It wasn't like I could speak to him, but I put my hand on his shoulder and I held the rebreather in his mouth so that he wouldn't drop it, no matter what. After a while, he seemed to calm down. He didn't look at all steady, but he nodded and shook his head in response to hand signals, and I figured that staying down there would be worse than pushing. I didn't trust him to lead the way in this state, and theoretically the transverse was straight ahead, so I squeezed past him and I led the way. It took 20 minutes before he stopped following. I was turning to look at him every few minutes to check if he was still swimming, and then I turned around and he just wasn't there. It didn't take me long to find him after that. It was so narrow that the walls of the cave kept him upright, like he was still alive, and the rebreather wasn't in his mouth anymore. There isn't a lot of time to feel grief when you lose someone through a dive. It wasn't my first time in a dive with a fatality, but it was the first time that doing so had left me all alone. Even if I could squeeze past him in the gasket, there would be the long way back to contend with, and no guideline to follow since he dropped it. I had to keep going ahead. Whatever I did, my best odds of survival were to keep calm and move quickly. The longer I spent deliberating, the longer my decompression stops would have to be, and the likelier my chances of hypoxia before reaching the surface. I couldn't start hyperventilating no matter what. It was essential that I kept moving forward. So I did. I took one of his tanks too. It wasn't like he needed it anymore, and he'd have done the same if it were me. Any diver would. I have the dive computer here, see? It says I kept going for another hour, straight ahead, and then I went down. I didn't think I was going down, I just remember moving forward towards the end of the tunnel, but I must have taken a wrong turn somewhere along the way. I noticed the gasket seemed to open up, like the mouth of a cave. I thought that I must have been a sign that I was on the way out. That was probably when I took the wrong turn. I still felt like I was going straight ahead, but I was just going down. When an hour passed and I wasn't any closer to the end of the gasket, I started to panic. I knew I wasn't supposed to, but it was getting colder. I was getting further and further away from the surface, further away from the rift between the tectonic plates and deeper in. If I was going further down and spending more and more time down there, that meant all the longer I'd have to spend taking decompression breaks. Longer time underwater, using air that I didn't have, even if I had taken all of Seor's remaining tanks. I didn't know what to do. Turn around and take longer? Keep going and hope there was a way out from here? I thought there must be a way from there, the way the cave opened up, and I just knew that I couldn't stand there and let myself get more panicked. So I just kept going. That's when I noticed that the shape of the tunnel walls had changed. They gave me a wider berth to step through, but it was more than that. There were grooves along the sides and the roof and the floor when I shone my light around to see. Deep, corkscrewing grooves like the rifling of a gun all the way around, uninterrupted. When I was a kid, my granddad had an aquarium. A big fancy one too, with all kinds of snails to keep the waste clean without too many water changes. To keep the snails from overcrowding the tank, he had a couple of assassin snails in there too. I would always remember them, how they hunted. You know what they do? They latch onto another snail and they have this organ called a rasping radula. It's sort of like the sandpaper tongue of a cat, coarse all over, and they wear down on a patch of shell on their prey. Rasp, 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 until they have a gap formed. no matter how long it takes them, and they eat whatever they find in there. Snails bleed bright red just like a person. You don't forget that. I don't think it's exactly the same thing, but looking at the grooves down there and trying to keep my breathing steady, that's where my mind went. I imagined the rasping radula of a massive creature wearing grooves into the shell of that tectonic plate and feeding off whatever it found beneath. Rasp, rasp, rasp. What colour do you think the Earth's blood is? I never found out. It got too cold and I started to shiver and panic. It got too cold even for my dry suit. My breathing came quickly, no matter what I did to slow it, and I burned my oxygen. My dive computer says I was down there for 10 hours. Is that possible? I don't think so. I think even with all the air I had, I wouldn't have taken me more than an hour or two to exhaust myself. I knew I couldn't make it up, even if the gasket did open up for me. It would just take too long to surface. Eventually, I just leaned against the wall of the cave and I listened to the water. Listened to the clicking and lowing. Listened to the waves whispering my name from somewhere far away. When I opened my eyes again, I saw it. It was a fish of some kind, maybe the size of a large tiger shark, and it could only fit its head through the tunnel to look at me, so that the rest of the body was unseen. I tried to look at it closer, but my vision was black at the periphery, and I kept glancing right past it, like my eyes were trying not to see it. I couldn't focus on its scales or its patterning, just the general shape. Big yellow eyes. They looked like cuttlefish eyes with a W-shaped pupil. It didn't look... When you go down deep into the water, at first things are normal, and then the fish get real fucked up. But when you go deep enough, they all look like normal fish again. Blobfish, where they're meant to be, just look like fish. It's only when we take them up with us that they turn into goo. I thought that there was something similar about this thing. I couldn't tell you what kind of fish it looked like. I swear it just looked like a fish. And it goggled at me for a while. Then it turned over onto its back and it goggled at me upside down, like it was trying to make head or tails of me. I can't tell you what it did next. It levered me up. But it didn't touch me at all. I don't even know if it was the damn fish doing it. It was just wiggled backwards awkwardly through the cave away from me, and I followed. Carted along intangibly like a tugboat. I wanted to laugh about it, but my lungs were screaming for air and I couldn't move. It took me down the tunnel, and I had only the narrow beam of light to see by as it rolled. It shone at the floor, then the ceiling of the tunnel, which grew wider and wider, and very rarely at the fish creature, which seemed not at all bothered by it. It didn't act afraid. I wondered if it was going to eat me, or maybe bring me back to its nest to feed its young. The tunnel just went on and on, the grooves in the walls growing deeper and more intricate, like they were symbols or cuneiform. I floated along, gasping for air but unable to suffocate, dying but unable to die. Eventually, the gasket opened up the rest of the way into the sea, and I realised then, looking around, that we were miles and miles below where I had last checked my dive computer. It was impossible to tell how deep, but there wasn't any surface light. We were long past the point where my lungs should have gone flat, like a paper bag that you fill up with air and pop between two hands, and yep, there I was, deeper than any human had any right to be without a vessel around them to keep them alive. I was a little naked snail without a shell. Things went a little confusing around here. Colours and sounds, I couldn't describe it to you, but to say it was architecture. Architecture of light and sound, of intangible things made tangible. It was a home. I don't know how I knew that it was one, but it had the lived-in quality of one. Like when you go home after a long trip and you suddenly get a long smell of the place where you live, warm bed sheets that smell like your detergent. There were whale bones scattered about, carved into odd abstract shapes like tools or instruments or toys for a baby to play with. And there were larger versions of the creature that found me and brought me here. It looked very much like the big fish thing, but maybe the size of a whale shark now. Its colours were different too, the patterning more intricate but with less sharp contrast. The base colour was darker and it had more teeth in its mouth, jutting past its lips like a frogfish. The littler creature dropped me then in front of the larger creature. I couldn't tell what their relationship was. Was it a child and a parent, a queen and a drone? Two limbs of one symbiotic hive? I was in the suspended state between suffocating and being long past the need for air. I couldn't tell you what the fuck was going on except that I'd been here before. That was what I thought of when the larger fish looked at me with its cuttlefish eyes. I remember being a little girl and finding a pigeon that had smacked itself right into our apartment window and finding it still alive and stunned on its back. I remember bringing the pigeon to my mother, who was a country vet. She put it into a box with a towel and a little bottle cap full of tap water, and we waited for it to drink and groom itself and come to its senses before setting it loose again. I had the feeling, misguided or otherwise, that I was on the other side of that interaction, that now I was the small, wounded animal, and that a child had brought me home to its parent, pleading with them to fix the dying thing. My vision failed me then. I couldn't see what it would do to me, and I didn't want to see. I suppose you found me not long after that, didn't you? Full tanks, no bends, no nothing, floating a mile offshore in the Sea of Cortez. Only thing wrong with me was that I had been breathing pure oxygen. I was a little out of my mind. Not that I have room to complain about the mixology of undersea creatures. Beggars can't be choosers at all. I couldn't tell you what happened. I couldn't say. Earlier today, before you brought me here for this interview, I found a little spider in my hotel room. Couldn't bring myself to kill it. I just watched it spin a web for an hour. Where would we be without small acts of mercy, right? Worse off, I have to think. The end.
Crazy, right? Please donate to our fundraiser. It breaks the immersion.
Cool.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ben. Lovely. I really like that one. I'm
Yeah.
just a little naked snail. Don't mind me. I'm a little naked snail. So thank you very much to Lily Rose for suggesting that one, and for G.O.B.L.I.N.S, who wrote that one. And to the wonderful people at the Fabulous magazine. First I've heard of it today. Sounds like a fun magazine,
Yeah.
full of stories of weirdness. So during that whole thing, I've been desperately trying to match up supporters, their comments, and various other things. Oh,
Inbound's in the chat.
what?
The author's in the chat.
Oh, thank you very much for the permission to read that story. I enjoyed it, and as you can see from the chat, lots of people
Yeah.
have deemed it their fave.
It was lovely to read.
And you know what's nice? Not a problematic fave in this day and age, isn't that
Yeah.
nice?
Just a matic fave.
Just a matic fave. Just a real
Matic fave.
matic fave.
Yep.
Incredible. Yes, so let us work our way through the many bits and bobs, and then looking at the time, I think we should do the longer one, the longest one next. I want to make sure it doesn't run too late. We might have more time, but I don't want you to get worn out before we hit it. 'Cause I think that'll be...
We're doing a classic.
We're doing a spoilers.
Yeah.
We'll reveal in a moment
Okay.
which one we're doing. But more than one person suggested it. We're taking one person's getting the credit, but more than one person did mention it to us.
Yep.
So,
Oh, damn. Amy's got a stat.
a stat.
Yeah.
We have raised
We've raised the end of World War I's worth of money.
a cool 1918.
Yep.
Oh, you know what? Do you know what that money will buy you? Armistice. Oh, sorry. No, I've got confused. About 5% of a podcast series,
Okay, fair
which
enough.
is quite similar to the armistice between the Allied forces and the Axis. Were they the Axis in World War One?
I don't
think
think
so.
so.
The Eastern powers,
Sure.
because Russia was not involved in the end of World War
Russia
One.
was very busy at the time.
They were busy at the time killing Tsar Nicholas and putting him down a mine.
Thanks, Tim.
What?
And it was Tsar Nicholas II. Come on.
Oh, what? Nicky too?
Nicky too.
Oh,
Nicky too.
Nick De. To his friends.
Get on with it.
Tsarina. I'm out. So if you could navigate your way to the comments page, Ben.
I sure will.
And I'm just going to try and work out. So there's one from Lara.
We got
So from Vex, rather. As Vampire Elias. They did specifically ask me if this was fine. Knowing nothing about it, I said yes.
Yeah, I don't. I assume he sounds like Elias, but with fangs.
I believe this is... I don't think they'll like... I don't think they'll...
Okay, fair enough.
I was informed this is from some fan fiction, and they said, "Is this too cringe?" And I said, "Make Ben say it." So off you go.
Okay. Do you know what the true curse of eternal life is? It's boredom. And you are interesting. It's been a long time since a hunter dared to come after me. Even longer since one got as close to killing me as you did. I'm going to make you last. There we go.
Sex thing? Sounds like a sex thing.
It's vampires. Could
So
be.
it's then yes, automatic sex
Could be
thing.
no. Could be torture. Could be sex. Could be both. It's vampires. That's how they.
That's
do.
how they be.
They're not nice.
Then, what,
you
not
know?
nice.
Not nice.
Not friendly.
No.
Bloodsuckers.
Yeah.
Big mosquitoes.
Yeah.
What would it be if instead of like the bat imagery, it was mosquito? So like they just had a long single proboscis.
So, Tim, if you would remember, some people have said that's Mal from
Oh,
from
he's
Super
proboscis,
Suits.
isn't he? He's
Or
not.
he's a mosquito vampire.
I forgot this.
Yeah. Tim, you played my bell end brother. Tim, you're my bell end brother.
Ben, I've been playing that role for 31 years.
Oh, very good, very good.
So Kip has donated. Excited for the podcast. Enjoying how Ben is fully illuminated on stream whilst Tim lurks in the shadows.
We made a directorial decision.
We did, and I should be kept in shadow all the time. They have pledged £30 so that I do have to defend them.
Ah.
Director Chongle? Is it
Yes.
Chongle?
Yes, it is.
Is your name Chongle?
Yes.
Director Chongle, I
Yes.
come to you with a beseechment.
Oh, I think it was Trongus.
Chongus. Oh, of course. Chongle's your triangular brother.
Yes.
Chongus.
Come in. Come.
I'm
come,
so
come,
sweaty.
Come.
So sweaty, I can't tell you.
Talk to me. What's the problem? What's the problem?
You know, Kip.
Yes.
Not Kip the first.
No.
Not Kip the second. Kip the third.
Ah,
No, I know.
fuck
I
that
know.
person.
I know. And you have marked them for death in your capacity as director of Lemon.
The Institute of Lemon.
No,
Just Lemon?
just Lemon.
I'm just a director of Lemon.
It was the Institute of Lemon, but went
Wait,
through
is
that
that
rebrand?
Is that Lemon with an exclamation mark? Is it like a West End musical?
It's a lemon with an interrobang. Lemon.
Lemon?
Lemon.
Lemon? What's
Somebody-
they all about?
If somebody comes in here with a lime, we'll fuck them up.
Fuck about was precisely what Kip the Third did.
Yeah, exactly. And Kip the
Fucking
I know Kip the
limes.
Third came in with a lime and said, "Is this good enough?" You slammed your paperwork down and you said, "Not in my house," and you've locked him in the basement.
Yes.
But, and I know you don't want to hear this from me,
What?
but Kip's got the keys to my 1995 Toyota Camry.
Oh, we're back to the Camry.
I'm sorry, I had to get another
A
one.
brief flirtation with an SM Micra.
Well, unfortunately, I lost that one.
Oh.
I drove it into a sand dune.
That's how you lose it?
Yeah. Well, I know where it is.
So you've not lost it?
Well, it's not coming out.
It just means
It's just in
trapped.
there.
It's
No,
not
but
lost.
if you dropped your dog down a well,
Yes.
you'd be like, "I've lost my dog." Yeah, you
Well,
know
no,
it's
no,
down
no,
the well.
no, that's I've killed my dog.
The dog might swim.
But then it would leave. And then you wouldn't know where it is, so you've lost it.
My point entirely. My car can swim in the dune. I do not currently know its whereabouts.
I see, yes, of course.
It just sort of went in and just went, oh. You know, like in Indiana Jones, where they crash the plane, and it's
sort
all
of-
fine, and then it just keeps on going.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, quicksand, even though that's not how quicksand works. It's like that, but with a 2003 Nissan Micra.
But we're now talking about your 1995 Toyota Camry. What's happened to it?
Kip ate my keys.
Oh.
Yum yum.
Washed it down with a little bit of lime juice.
Kip the
Disgusting.
third. Kip the third said, "I need a little snack." And as I was taking things out of my pocket, I was trying to get one of those pink wafers, and I took my keys out, and Kip went.
Ah.
Now you can kill them after they've, let nature take its course and given them a rinse.
I've got a more efficacious idea.
Okay.
Vivisection.
What a vivacious idea,
Mm.
Kip. You going in squares. And
Oh, you're not on a wheelie chair.
not in a
damn it.
wheelie chair. No. And again, you might not be able to tell at home.
Oh, he's back.
But I cannot tell you how much, because when there were technical issues, I got the full body panic.
I was
admin
going to
sweat.
say, you're so sweaty. You're sitting next to an open window.
It's weird. As soon as there's technical problems, my entire body's like, "Would you like to slide away in fear?"
There you go. You got full flop sweats.
I
from Tim.
get flop sweat. It's incredible. Holy hell, these comments are long, but that's because they're accompanied by large donations and the people demand their coins. Right, let me match this up because I'm pretty sure this one is from somebody. This is from Criminal Ant. Criminal Ant has donated. Would love for Trexel to fight for my life.
Okay.
Director Trongus.
Yes.
Now, you're the institute. You're the director. As you know,
Yes.
of the Institute for Beatles,
Mm,
which is
love 'em.
one reason,
Little clacky lads.
little clacky lads, as you call them,
Yeah.
which is one reason that the criminal ant is your foe.
Yes.
The ant of crime. The
Bastards.
arch-ant of crime.
Powerful bastards.
The ant-based Napoleon of crime.
Lifting, 100 times the body weight? Fuck off with
Could
that.
be more.
Disgusting.
Could be more.
Hate it.
But I need you to stop the cycle of violence. Beetles and ants. Little leg in little leg. Singing together. Think of it.
So what you're saying is that, who was it again?
Criminal ant.
Criminal Ant. Criminal Ant is an ant or is director of the Institute for Ants?
Criminal ant
Yes.
is a gigantic crime-doing ant.
Oh.
7 foot tall.
Wait, and the Beetle Boys have not been able to defeat them yet?
No, the Beetle Boys, they make great music, but they make terrible policemen.
Yeah.
It's becoming a Trump impression. Have we heard about them? Beetle Boys. We love the Beetle Boys, don't we? We love the Beetle Boys. Beatles, shiny backs. People don't want me to say it. People don't want me to. That's not what we're doing here.
Drexel doing a Trump impression is like it's curse cubed.
People don't want me to say it. Oh, small hands, big hands.
And Drexel is very bad at impressions.
Very bad at impressions.
Oh,
No.
Foxtel Power said Trumpxel.
Ugh, I don't like it. It sounds like the noise that when you fart and accidentally shit yourself. Off Trump's cloud.
Sorry, ants.
Can
Beatles.
you
Love 'em.
find it within yourself
No.
to stop the cycle?
Actually, do you know what I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going to let them off. I'm going to kill you.
It seems
For
fair.
this conversation.
Small hands, little mouth. Ooh.
Get off the stage.
Okay. Oh dear. Okay, the next one is from. Let me cross-reference it with. I believe, yes, Victoria has donated, and they have a message in the comments for you to read as Grizzop.
The fuck is this?
God, what have you done? You're a pink pony girl and you dance at the club. Oh, mama, I'm just having fun. On the stage is my heels is where I belong down at the Pink Pony Club. I'm going to keep on dancing at the Pink Pony Club. Probably would have been better if I knew the tune to those obvious lyrics now that I read them out.
It's Chapel Rowan, Ben.
Who? Oh, yes, everyone's talking about them.
Oh.
Are they the new brat?
Oh, Ben.
Oh, Grizzop.
Oh, Grizzop.
Oh.
Grizzop. You're not with it enough.
Oh, too busy being dead.
Things from Charlie XCX are brat.
Ah,
Things from Chapel Rowan are extremely gay, as I understand
I see. So they're similar to the mountain goats.
it.
No, where they're just sad, they're not gay. Are they gay and sad, or are they just sad?
Is there any difference?
Wait, hang on a minute.
Is that bad?
I will distancing myself from these comments.
Oh dear. Right. The next one is from Obsessed. I have decoded the name conventions. This has the prompt night shift. Now, I just want to check: is it just I'm defending your life, and just with the knowledge that you're currently on a night shift,
Or is that like the
Obsessed?
code word?
Or is the code word night shift? I don't have enough information, and given that you've given us money, I want to make sure. Oh, I fucked up during that. Oh, I see. Director Trongus of the Institute of Nighttime Dealings.
Yes.
I know you were very keen to make sure we were open 24 hours a day.
It's really important.
It's really
Like,
important.
it's
kind of the main thing.
well, 12 hours a day is the main thing, but I thought, keep it all round the clock. Nighttime and daytime.
Yeah. A 24-hour.
Everyone can do a nighttime dealing at daytime.
But can you do a daytime dealing at night?
No, fuck off, no.
Okay. Well, but you know what? We're getting off topic.
Yeah.
I know that you said, Drexel, find me the night shifter, the inaugural night shifter, who's going to do us proud.
The shiftiest night person.
Oh, shifting in manual, changing lanes.
Like a 1995 Toyota Camry.
Or 2003 Nissan Micra. Or a 1984 Toyota Hilux.
Yes.
Full of needles.
The three cars that exist. The Camry was full of needles, the Hilux was not.
Oh, I'm so
The
sorry.
Hilux was full of Dr. Loop.
All of them are full of needles.
Oh, right.
The Nissan Micra is the only one that's full of sand
Yes, and needles.
and needles and Dr. Loop's parts. Legs.
Wait, you moved them out of the Hilux?
I chopped them up.
Oh, dear.
I distributed. I panicked.
My apologies, Dr. Loop.
Sorry, Dr. Loop. See you in Empire. But I thought the person for the job is Obsessed. And
yes.
I thought they were going to do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I checked in.
Mm-hmm.
And what they've done
Yep.
is they have rigged up a sun in the lobby and they've made it daytime at the Institute of Nighttime Dealings. And I know that would mean instant death, but I want to argue for their life.
Why?
What's a sun but a big hot moon?
Okay.
Think it through.
But what dirt have they got on you?
What?
What dirt have they got on
I
you?
don't understand. I think it's fine.
Talk to me.
No, it's okay.
Tell me.
Look, you know sometimes you leave your keys on a chair and someone sits down really hard on them and they disappear?
Can't say I do, but I see.
Well, it's happened.
Okay.
I said, just pop yourself down here on this chair for your night shift.
Boom.
That Camry's not going anywhere for quite
And
some time.
and that chair is sawdust.
Oh, boy, howdy. All gone.
Okay.
So can you just
I think this is another one where they've been suitably punished.
ask keys?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Lip. I literally looked over there and just read out Askies. Sorry, obsessed.
No, you're not.
No, not even slightly. Baroness Cosplay did donate, just with a message. Just wanted to let you know that I went outside to fetch my card from the Carter Pledge in my underwear because I can't be bothered to get dressed.
A powerful energy.
Now, bloody Baroness Cosplay, which part of the world are you in? Because if there's like, oh yeah, I'm in like Michigan and it's minus 10 degrees. How feisty was this pants walk?
Yeah.
That is the question. Okay, so we have two. Hang on, blah 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 blah. I need to defend Rusty Elias. There's no message, but they've donated £30.
Ah, get on it.
I know you're sick of the sight of me.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Drexel.
Okay.
Director Trongus?
No. Director Squarebus. Trongus is dead.
Long
And
live
was my
Squarebus.
nephew.
You killed your nephew.
I'm Uncle Director Squarebus.
Uncle Director Squarebus. Well, in which case, can I rebrand myself?
Okay. Not as. Don't.
No, not that.
First thought,
not
bad
that.
thought.
Never that. Hello, I'm David Seven, and I'm here to fight for the rights of people who need them.
What?
Hello.
Yes.
And now I've forgotten who. Rusty Elias.
Right.
They're a good boy.
Sorry, I'm very drunk.
Of course, as one should be. It's hard to think in this voice. How do you do it? Now, look, Rusty Elias, he's just a little cube.
Sorry, I can't hear you. I'm having sex with a broom.
Well, of course. So hard to think. Look, just put down the fish.
It's actually really easy to think in this voice. I just say any old shit.
Exactly. Why do you think? It's not important. Rusty Elias has been very kind and donated. And I think...
What?
What?
Who?
To the Institute.
Yes.
To the Institute
Of?
Current Affairs. But affairs is spelt in the way that you're cheating on someone.
Ah, yes. My favourite kind of thing.
Oh,
that fish is very sexy.
Uncle Director Squarebus, please have mercy.
I've forgotten what's going on, so sure, fine.
Thank you, Rusty Elias. Never again.
Never again.
I can't think.
Also, I turned into like an Imperial Brigadier.
He's a masked main base.
Wait, what branch of the military do you think a brigadier works for?
Works in a brig, kind of a ship.
Ah, yes, of course. How's Reading Master and Commander going?
It's actually really good.
It is really good.
It's a good book, guys.
Okay, it's very weird. We both spontaneously started reading Master and Commander completely independently of each other at the same time.
Because we're exactly the same kind of tedious middle-aged man.
Strange, very strange.
But I got my book from the library because I'm a member of the community.
Rach bought hers for £1 years ago, so I'm actually just recycling. Sustainable.
We're different kinds of
smug. We should get on with things.
Oh yeah, you got to read a half-an-hour story in a minute. Right, there's 3 more. Flamango42 has donated, and they want you to read something as David Seven. Now,
no, that's of course you.
Oh, hello!
Right, shut up.
I know what's going on here, okay? I do. And if you want me to wander backstage to spill the beans, it's the final question, right? They're in the loop. I'm the only one out of the loop, it would seem. And if we check my point total here, I don't need to walk to the front, because I know what it is. It's a big old goose egg gang of fat zero. Hello, a little late addition to the numerical symbol chart brought to us by friends in Arabia. A little bit of trivia about the history of numbers. That kind of little tidbit would serve me well in most trivia games, unless it had been rigged from the beginning. Oh, I've only just begun to pull the thread on this sweater, friends. You would think, in a game where there are only 2 possible correct choices, that one would stumble into the right answer eventually, every so often, wouldn't you? In fact, the probability of never guessing right in the full game is a statistical wonder, and yet here we are, introduced in the top of the game as a champion. What do you think that means? Icarus, flying too close to the sun, but it seems Daedalus, our little master crafter over here, had some wax wings of his own. He wanted to see a sun fall in the sky. Oh, how close to the sun he flew. Well, I'm not having it. I've solved your labyrinth puzzle, master. The Minotaur's escaped, and you're going to get the horns, buddy. I cannot win.
I think that's Brendan Mulligan from Game Changer when they changed the game on him one too many times. You ever seen that?
No, I've never watched anything from The Dropout.
It's all very good.
I've heard it's very good.
That is a fully improvised rant when he realises he's not going to win the game due to skullduggery. It's very good.
Nice.
It's very good. Brendan Lee Mulligan, quite good. Stamp of approval. Right, a few more to get through, and then we will do the special story. Rotom Time Machine has donated, and as Jonah, as in Jonah and the Whale.
Jonah Magnus.
There you go.
I assume sounds
One
like
would
Elias.
One would assume.
I didn't ever play him, did I?
Don't know.
No. Surely
But
no.
if you were to have played him, how would you have done it? You know what I would do if I were you?
What?
I'd just start talking and see what happens.
Yeah, that is how you live most of your life.
Hello.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, technically I have played him, but I don't know if I... Fine, whatever. And there, I think, we are brought just about up to date. I've enjoyed our little trip down memory lane, but past here lies only impatience. You are prepared, you are ready, you are marked. The power of the ceaseless watcher flows through you, and the time of our victory is here. Don't worry, John. You'll get used to it here, in the world that we have made. You who watch and know and understand none. You who listen and hear and will not comprehend. You who wait, and drink in all that is not yours by right. Come to us in your wholeness. Come to us in your perfection. Bring all that is fear, and all that is terror, and all that is the awful dread that crawls and chokes, and blinds, and falls, and twists, and leaves, and hides, and weaves, and burns, and hunts, and rips, and bleeds, and dies. Come to us. I open the door. I think I remember that. I think Johnny did that.
Close that door.
No.
Shut that door.
Well, I think that's the apocalypse. Oh, is this... Oh, wait, hang on. Is this the end of the... Oh, whatever. I can't remember.
Cool.
I listened so long ago. Well, I listened when it came out, and that was like 2 years ago. And I had a child, and my brain...
Oh, you've got brain
melted.
soup now,
Yeah,
haven't
I've
you?
got the brain soup.
Right, what I'm going to do is we've got a chunk more to do, and I would like to do it, but I want you to read the story so that you're then kind of off duty for the last bit and you're not sort of preparing to do a thing. So don't worry if your stuff hasn't been read out yet. It's all in hand. But we're going to read the final story of this evening. It is by M.R. James.
Oh, the big man himself.
The big Mr. Roundhouse James.
Yeah.
It's Count Magnus.
Okay.
Crikey.
Yeah.
Content warnings for this. Body horror, cults, and the undead. I had to make those myself by skimming it, so I hope that those are broadly correct. There were no available online. And let me just give you the... read-along link. Oh, Pentel, yes, the end of season 4 that was from. There we go.
So it is the end of that speech.
Yeah, there we go. So this, Count Magnus.
By what means the papers out of which that I have made a connected story came into my hands is the last point which the reader will learn from these pages. But it is necessary to prefix to my extracts from them a statement to the form in which I possess them. They consist, then, partly of a series of collections for a book of travels, such a volume as was common production in the 40s and 50s. Horace Marryat's Journal of a Residence in Jutland and the Danish Isles is a fair specimen of the class to which I allude. These books usually treat some sort of unknown district on the continent. They were illustrated with woodcuts or steel plates. They gave details of hotel accommodation and of means of communication, such as we now expect to find in any well-regulated guidebook. And they dealt largely in reported conversations with intelligent foreigners, racy innkeepers, and garrulous peasants. In a word, they were chatty. Begun with the idea of furnishing material for such a book, my papers as they progressed assumed the character of a record of one single personal experience, and this record was continued up to within a very short time from its termination. The writer was a Mr. Wraxall. For my knowledge of him, I have to depend entirely on the evidence of his writings afford, and from these I deduced that he was a man past middle age, possessed of some private means, and very much alone in the world. He had, it seems, no settled abode in England, but was a denizen of hotels and boarding houses. It is probable that he entertained the idea of settling down at some future time, which never came, and I think it also likely that the Pantechnicon fire in the early 70s must have destroyed a great deal that would have thrown light on his antecedents, for he refers once or twice to property of his that was warehoused at that establishment. It is further apparent that Mr. Wraxall had published a book, and that it treated of a holiday he had once taken in Brittany. More than this I cannot say about his work, because a diligent search in bibliographical works has convinced me that it must have appeared either anonymously or under a pseudonym. As to his character, it is not difficult to form some superficial opinion. He must have been an intelligent and cultivated man. It seems that he was near being a fellow of his college at Oxford, Brasenose, as I judge from the calendar. His besetting fault was pretty clearly that of over-inquisitiveness, possibly a good fault in a traveller, certainly a fault for which our traveller paid dearly enough in the end. On what proved to be his last expedition, he was plotting another book. Scandinavia, a region not widely known to Englishmen 40 years ago, had struck him as an interesting field. He must have alighted on some old books of Swedish history or memoirs, and the idea had struck him that there was room for a book descriptive of travel in Sweden, interspersed with episodes from the history of some of the great Swedish families. He procured letters of introduction, therefore, to some persons of quality in Sweden, and set out thither in the early summer of 1863. Of his travels in the north there is no need to speak, nor of his residence for some weeks in Stockholm. I need only mention that some savant resident there put him on the track of an important collection of family papers belonging to the proprietors of an ancient manor house in Västergötland, and obtained for him permission to examine them. The manor house, or herrgård, in question is to be called Robach, pronounced something like Robeck, though that is not its name. It is one of the best buildings of its kind in all the country, and a picture of it in Dahlenberg's Suecia Antica e Moderna, engraved in 1694, shows it very much as the tourist may see it today. It was built soon after 1600, and is, roughly speaking, very much like an English house of that period in respect of material, red brick with stone facings, and style. The man who built it was a scion of the great house of G.O.B.L.I.N.S, and his descendants possess it still. G.O.B.L.I.N is a name by which I will designate them when mention of them becomes necessary. They received Mr. Wraxall with great kindness and courtesy, and pressed him to stay in the house as long as his researches lasted. But preferring to be independent, and mistrusting his powers of conversing in Swedish, he settled himself at the village inn, which turned out quite sufficiently comfortable, at any rate during the summer months. This arrangement would entail a short walk daily to and from the manor house, or something under a mile. The house itself stood in a park, and was protected, we should say grown up, with large old timber. Near it you found the walled garden, and then entered a close wood fringing one of the small lakes with which the whole country is pitted. Then came the walls of the domain, and you climbed a steep knoll, a knob of rock lightly covered with soil, and on the top of this stood the church, fenced in with tall dark trees. It was a curious building to English eyes. The nave and the aisles were low, and filled with pews and galleries. In the western gallery stood the handsome old organ, gaily painted and with silver pipes. The ceiling was flat, and had been adorned by a 17th century artist with a strange and hideous Last Judgment, full of lurid flames, falling cities, burning ships, crying souls, and brown and smiling demons. Handsome brass coronae hung from the roof. The pulpit was like a doll's house, covered with little painted wooden cherubs and saints. A stand with 3-hour glasses was hinged to the preacher's desk. Such sights as these may be seen in many a church in Sweden now, but what distinguished this one was an addition to the original building. At the eastern end of the north aisle, the builder of the manor house had erected a mausoleum for himself and his family. It was a largish 8-sided building, lighted by a series of oval windows, and it had a domed roof, topped by a kind of pumpkin-shaped object rising into a spire, a form in which Swedish architects greatly delighted. The roof was of copper externally and was painted black, while the walls, in common with those of the church, were staringly white. To this mausoleum there was no access from the church. It had a portal and steps of its own on the northern side. Past the churchyard, the path to the village goes, and not more than 3 or 4 minutes bring you to the inn door. On the first day of his stay at Robeck, Mr. Wraxall found the church door open, and made those notes of the interior which I have epitomised. Into the mausoleum, however, he could not make his way. He could, by looking through the keyhole, just descry that there were fine marble effigies and sarcophagi of copper, and a wealth of armorial ornament, which made him very anxious to spend some time in investigation. The papers he had come to examine at the manor house proved to be just the kind he wanted for his book. There were family correspondence, journals, and account books of the earliest owners of the estate, very carefully kept and clearly written, full of amusing and picturesque detail. The first Delegardi appeared in them as a strong and capable man. Shortly after the building of the mansion, there had been a period of distress in the district, and the peasants had risen and attacked several chateaux and done some damage. The owner of Robeck took a leading part in suppressing the trouble, and there was reference to executions of ringleaders and severe punishments inflicted with no sparing hand. The portrait of this Magnus Delegardi was one of the best in the house, and Mr. Wraxall studied it with no little interest after his days at work. He gives no detailed description of it, but I gather that the face impressed him rather by its power than by its beauty or goodness. In fact, he writes that Count Magnus was an almost phenomenally ugly man. On this day, Mr. Wraxall took his supper with the family and walked back in the late but still bright evening. I must remember, he writes, to ask the sexton if he can let me into the mausoleum at the church. He evidently has access to himself, for I saw him tonight standing on the steps and, as I thought, locking or unlocking the door. I find that early on the following day Mr. Wraxall had some conversation with his landlord. His setting it down at such length as he does surprised me at first, but I soon realised that the papers as I was reading were, at least in their beginning, the materials for the book that he was meditating, and that it was to have been one of those quasi-journalistic productions which admit of the introduction of an admixture of conversational matter. His object, he says, was to find out whether any traditions of Count Magnus de la Gardie lingered on in the scenes of that gentleman's activity, and whether the popular estimate of him were favourable or not. He found that the Count was decidedly not a favourite. If his tenants came late to their work on the days which they owed to him as lord of the manor, they were set on the wooden horse or flogged and branded in the manor house yard. 1 or 2 cases there were of these men who had occupied lands which encroached on the lord's domain, and whose houses had been mysteriously burnt on a winter's night, with the whole family inside. But what seemed to dwell on the innkeeper's mind most, for he returned to the subject more than once, was that the Count had been on the Black Pilgrimage and brought something or someone back with him. You will naturally inquire, as Mr. Wraxall did, what the Black Pilgrimage may have been, but your curiosity on the point must remain unsatisfied for the time being, just as his did. The landlord was evidently unwilling to give the full answer, or indeed any answer, on the point, and, being called out for a moment, trotted out with an obvious alacrity, only putting his head in at the door a few minutes after to say that he was called away to Skara and would not be back till evening. So Mr. Wraxall had to go unsatisfied to his day's work at the manor house. The papers on which he had just then engaged soon put his thoughts into another channel, for he had to occupy himself with glancing over the correspondence between Sophia Albertina in Stockholm and her married cousin Ulrika Leonara at Robeck in the years 1705 to 1710. The letters were of exceptional interest from the light they threw upon the culture of that period in Sweden, as anyone can testify who has read the full edition of them in the publications of the Swedish Historical Manuscripts Commission. In the afternoon he had done with these, and after returning the boxes in which they were kept to their places on the shelf, he proceeded very naturally to take down some of the volumes nearest to them, in order to determine which of them must be his principal subject of investigation next day. The shelf he had hit on was occupied mostly by a collection of account books in the writing of the first Count Magnus, but one among them was not an account book, but a book of alchemical and other tracts in another 16th century hand. Not being very familiar with alchemical literature, Mr. Wraxall spends a good deal of space with what he might have spared in setting out the names and beginnings of the various treatises. The Book of the Phoenix, Book of the 30 Words, Book of the Toad, Book of Miriam, Turbula Philosophorum, and so forth. And then he announces with a good deal of circumstance his delight at finding, on a leaf originally left blank near the middle of the book, some writing of Count Magnus himself, headed Liber Nigrae Peregrinationis. It is true that only a few lines were written, but there was quite enough to show that the landlord had that morning been referring to a belief at least as old as the time of Count Magnus, and probably shared by him. This is the English of what was written. If any man desires to obtain a long life, he would obtain a faithful messenger and see the blood of his enemies. It is necessary that he would first go into the city of Shirazin, and there salute the prince. Here there was the erasure of one word, not very thoroughly done, so that Mr. Wraxall felt pretty sure that he was right in reading it as heiress of the heir. But there was no more of the text copied, only a line in Latin. Quaere reliqua hujus materiae inter secretiora. See the rest of this matter along with the more private things. It could not be denied that this threw a rather lurid light upon the taste and belief of the Counts, but to Mr. Wraxall, separated from him by nearly 3 centuries, he thought that he might have added to his general forcefulness alchemy, and to alchemy something like magic, only made him a more picturesque figure. And when, after a rather prolonged contemplation of his pictures in the hall, Mr. Wraxall set out on his homeward way, his mind was full of the thought of Count Magnus. He had no eyes for his surroundings, no perception of the evening scents of the woods or the evening light on the lake, and when all of a sudden he pulled up short, he was astonished to find himself already at the gate of the churchyard, and within a few minutes of his dinner, his eyes fell on the mausoleum. "Ah," he said, "Count Magnus, there you are. I should dearly like to see you." Like many solitary men, he writes, I have a habit of talking to myself aloud, and, unlike some of the Greek and Latin particles, I do not expect an answer. Certainly, and perhaps fortunately in this case, there was neither voice nor any that regarded. Only the woman who, I suppose, was cleaning up the church, dropped some metallic object on the floor, whose clang startled me. Count Magnus, I think, sleeps sound enough. That same evening, the landlord of the inn, who had heard Mr. Wraxall say that he wished to see the clerk or deacon, as he would be called in Sweden, of the parish, introduced him to that official in the inn parlour. A visit to the Delegardi tomb house was soon arranged for the next day, and a little general conversation ensued. Mr. Wraxall, remembering that one function of Scandinavian deacons is to teach candidates for confirmation, thought that he would refresh his own memory on a biblical point. Can you tell me, he says, anything about Chorazin? The deacon seemed startled, but readily reminded him how the village had once been denounced. To be sure, said Mr. Wraxall, it is, I suppose, quite a ruin now. So I expect, replied the deacon. I have heard some of our old priests say that the Antichrist is to be born there, and there are tales. Ah, what tales are those? Mr. Wraxall put in. Tales, I was going to say, which I have forgotten, said the deacon, and soon after that he said good night. The landlord was now alone and at Mr. Wraxall's mercy, and that inquirer was not inclined to spare him. Herr Nielsen, he said, I have found out something about the Black Pilgrimage. You may as well tell me what you know. What did the Count bring back with him? Swedes are habitually slow, perhaps, in answering, or perhaps the landlord was an exception. I am not sure, but Mr. Wraxall notes that the landlord spent at least 1 minute in looking at him before he said anything at all. Then he came close up to his guest, and with a good deal of effort he spoke. Mr. Wraxall, I can tell you this one little tale, and no more, not any more. You must not ask anything when I have done. In my grandfather's time, that is 92 years ago, there were 2 men who said, the Count is dead. We do not care for him. We will go tonight and have a free hunt in his wood. The long wood on the hill that you have seen behind Robeck. Well, those that heard them say this said, no, do not go. We are sure you will meet with persons walking who should not be walking. They should be resting, not walking. These men laughed. There were no forest men to keep the woods, because no one wished to live there. The families were not at the houses. These men could do what they wished. Very well. They go to the wood that night. My grandfather was sitting here in this room. It was the summer and a light night. With the window open, you could see out into the wood and hear. So he sat there, and 2 or 3 men with him, and they listened. At first they hear nothing at all. Then they hear someone, you know how far away it is, they hear someone scream, just as if the most inside part of his soul was twisted out of him. All of them in the room caught hold of each other, and they sat so for 3/4 of an hour, when they hear someone else, only about 300 ells off. They hear him laugh out loud. It was not one of those 2 men that laughed, and indeed, they have all of them said it was not any man at all. After that, they hear a great door shut. Then, when it was just light with the sun, they all went to the priest. They said to him, Father, put on your gown and your ruff, and come bury these men, Anders Bjorsen and Hans Thorbjorn. You understand that they were sure these men were dead, so they went into the wood. My grandfather never forgot this. He said they were all like so many dead men themselves. The priest, too, he was white and in a fear. He said when they came to him, I heard one cry in the night, and I heard one laugh afterwards. If I cannot forget that, I shall not be able to sleep again. So they went into the wood, and they found these men on the edge of the wood. Hans Thorbjorn was standing with his back against a tree, and all the time he was pushing with his hands, pushing something away from him which is not there. So he was not dead, and they led him away and took him to the home at Nyköping, and he died before the winter. But he went on pushing with his hands. Also Anders Bjornsen was there, but he was dead. And I tell you about this Anders Bjornsen, that he was once a beautiful man, but now his face was not there, because of the flesh of it was sucked away off the bones. You understand that? My grandfather did not forget that. And they laid him on the bier which they brought, and they put a cloth over his head. And the priest walked before, and they began to sing the psalm for the dead as well as they could. So as they were singing the end of the first verse, one fell down who was carrying the head of the bier, and the others looked back, and they saw the cloth had fallen off, and the eyes of Anders Bjornsen were looking up, because there was nothing to close over them. And this they could not bear. Therefore the priest laid the cloth upon him, and sent for a spade, and they buried him in that place. The next day Mr. Wraxall records that the deacon called for him soon after his breakfast, and took him to the church and mausoleum. He noticed that the key of the latter was hung on a nail just by the pulpit, and it occurred to him that as the church door seemed to be left unlocked as a rule, it would not be difficult for him to pay a second and more private visit to the monuments if there proved to be more of interest among them that could be digested at first. The building, when he entered it, he found not unimposing. The monuments, mostly large erections of the 17th and 18th centuries, were dignified if luxuriant, and the epitaphs and heraldry were copious. The central space of the domed room was occupied by 3 copper sarcophagi covered with finely engraved ornament. 2 of them had, as is commonly the case in Denmark and Sweden, a large metal crucifix on the lid. The third, that of Count Magnus, as it appeared, had, instead of that, a full-length effigy engraved upon it, and round the edge were several bands of similar ornament representing various scenes. One was a battle with cannon belching out smoke and walled towns and troops of pikemen. Another showed an execution. In a third, among trees, was a man running at full speed, with flying hair and outstretched arms. After him followed a strange form. It would be hard to say whether the artist intended it for a man and was unable to give the requisite similitude, or whether it was intentionally made as monstrous as it looked. In view of the skill with which the rest of the drawing was done, Mr. Axel felt inclined to adopt the latter idea. The figure was unduly short, and was for the most part muffled in a hooded garment which swept the ground. The only part of the form which projected from that shelter was not shaped like any hand or arm. Mr. Axel compares it to the tentacle of a devilfish, and continues, "On seeing this, I said to myself, this, then, is evidently an allegorical representation of some kind. A fiend pursuing a hunted soul, maybe the origin of the Count Magnus and his mysterious companion. Let us see how the huntsman is pictured. Doubtless it will be a demon blowing his horn." But as it turned out, there was no such sensational figure, only the semblance of a cloaked man on a hillock who stood leaning on a stick and watching the hunt with interest, which the engraver had tried to express in his attitude. Mr. Axel noted the finely worked and massive steel padlocks, 3 in number, which secured the sarcophagus. One of them, he saw, was detached and lay on the pavement. And then, unwilling to delay the deacon any longer or waste his own working time, he made his own way towards the manor house. It is curious, he notes, how on retracing a familiar path one's thoughts engross one to the absolute exclusion of surrounding objects. Tonight, for the second time, I had entirely failed to notice where I was going. I had planned a private visit to the tomb house to copy the epitaphs, when suddenly, as it were, I awoke to consciousness, and found myself, as before, turning in at the churchyard gate, and, I believe, singing or chanting some words such as, "Are you awake, Count Magnus? Are you asleep, Count Magnus?" and then something more which I have failed to recollect. It seemed to me that I must have been behaving in this nonsensical way for some time. He found the key of the manor house where he had expected to find it, and copied the greater part of what he wanted. In fact, he stayed up until the light began to fail him. "I must have been wrong," he writes, "in saying that one of the padlocks of my Count's sarcophagus was unfastened. I see tonight that 2 are loose. I picked both up and laid them carefully on the window ledge, after trying unsuccessfully to close them. The remaining one is still firm, and though I take it to be a spring lock, I cannot guess how it is opened. Had I succeeded in undoing it, I am almost afraid I should have taken the liberty of opening the sarcophagus. It is strange, the interest I feel in the personality of this, I fear, somewhat ferocious and grim old noble." The day following was, as it turned out, the last of Mr. Axel's stay at Robeck. He received letters connected with certain investments which made it desirable that he should return to England. His work among the papers was practically done, and travelling was slow. He decided, therefore, to make his farewells, put some finishing touches to his notes, and be off. These finishing touches and farewells, as it turned out, took more time than he had expected. The hospitable family insisted on his staying to dine with them. They dined at 3, and it was verging on 6:30 before he was outside the iron gates of Robeck. He dwelt on every step of his walk by the lake, determined to saturate himself, now that he trod it for the last time, in the sentiment of the place and the hour. And when he reached the summit of the churchyard knoll, he lingered for many minutes, gazing at the limitless prospect of woods near and distant, all dark beneath a sky of liquid green. When at last he turned to go, the thought struck him that surely he must bid farewell to the Count Magnus, as well as the rest of the de la Gardies. The church was but yet 20 yards away, and he knew where the key of the mausoleum hung. It was not long before he was standing over the great copper coffin, and, as usual, talking to himself aloud. "You may have been a rascal in your time, Magnus," he was saying, "but for all that I should like to see you, or rather—" Just at that instant, he said, I felt a blow on my foot. Hastily enough I drew it back, and something fell on the pavement with a clash. It was the third, the last of 3 padlocks which had fastened the sarcophagus. I stooped to pick it up, and heaven is my witness that I am only writing the bare truth. Before I had raised myself there was a sound of metal hinges creaking, and I distinctly saw the lid shifting upwards. I may have behaved like a coward, but I could not for my life stay one moment. I was outside that dreadful building in less time than I can write, almost as quickly as I could have said the words, and what frightens me yet more, I could not turn the key in the lock. As I sit here in my room, noting these facts, I ask myself, it was not 20 minutes ago, whether the noise of creaking metal continued, and I cannot tell whether it did or not. I only know that there was something more than I have written that alarmed me. But whether it was sound or sight, I am not able to remember. What is this that I have done? Poor Mr. Wraxall. He set out on his journey to England on the next day, as he had planned, and he reached England in safety. And yet, as I gather from his changed hand and inconsequent jottings, a broken man. One of several small notebooks that have come to me with his papers gives not a key to, but an inkling of his experiences. Much of his journey was made by canal boat, and I find not less than 6 painful attempts to enumerate and describe his fellow passengers. The entries are of this kind. 24. Pastor of a village in Skane. Usual black coat and soft black hat. 25. Commercial traveller from Stockholm going to Trollhättan. Black cloak, brown hat. 26. Man in long black coat, broad-leafed hat, very old-fashioned. This entry is lined out, and a note added, perhaps identical with number 13. I have not yet seen his face. On referring to number 13, I find that he is a Roman priest in a cassock. The net result of the reckoning is always the same. 28 people appear in the enumeration, one being always a man in a long black cloak and broad hat, and the other a short figure in a dark cloak and hood. On the other hand, it is also noted that only 26 passengers appear at meals, and that the man in the cloak is perhaps absent, and the short figure is certainly absent. On reaching England, it appears that Mr. Wraxall landed at Harwich, and that he resolved at once to put himself out of the reach of some person or persons whom he never specifies, but whom he has evidently come to regard as his pursuers. Accordingly, he took a vehicle, it was a closed fly, not trusting the railway, and drove across the country to the village of Belchamp-St. It was about 9 o'clock on a moonlit August night when he neared the place. He was sitting forward and looking out of the window at the fields and thickets. There was little else to be seen racing past him. Suddenly he came to a crossroad. At the corner 2 figures were standing motionless. Both were in dark cloaks. The taller one wore a hat, the shorter a hood. He had no time to see their faces, nor did they make any motion that he could discern. Yet the horse shied violently and broke into a gallop, and Mr. Wraxall sank back into his seat in something like desperation. He had seen them before. Arrived at Belchamp-St. Paul, he was fortunate enough to find a decent furnished lodging, and for the next 24 hours he lived, comparatively speaking, in peace. His last notes were written on this day. They are too disjointed and ejaculatory to be given here in full, but the substance of them is clear enough. He was expecting a visit from his pursuers. How or when he knows not, and his constant cry is, "What has he done? And is there no hope?" Doctors, he knows, would call him mad. Policemen would laugh at him. The parson is away. What can he do but lock his door and cry to God? People still remembered last year at Belchamp-St. Paul how a strange gentleman came one evening in July years back, and how the next morning but one he was found dead, and there was an inquest, and the jury that viewed the body fainted. 7 of them did, and none of them wouldn't speak to what they see. And the verdict was visitation of God, and how the people as kept the house moved out that same week, and went away from that part. But they did not, I think, know that any glimmer of light had ever been thrown or could be thrown on the mystery. It so happens that last year the little house came into my hands as part of a legacy, and has stood empty since 1863, and there seemed no prospect of letting it. So I had it pulled down, and the papers of which I have given you an abstract were found in a forgotten cupboard under the window in the best bedroom. And that's it.
No more face for you.
No more face for you.
Suck right off.
Yep.
The original Hook Tug Count Magnus.
I'm going for a piss.
But Ben, do you not want to see what's happened?
What's happened?
Big funding.
Big funding.
Big funding.
Big funding.
The website's not updating me to let me know exactly how much, but I think like absolutely lots.
I'll give it a go.
Imogen Cassidy has put in a big donation, but he's refusing to tell me quite exactly how much. But I think it's like quite a lot.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, it took us from 54% to 57%, I think pretty much on its own. So,
Sweet Jesus.
But I'm so sorry, everyone. You're going to have to bear with us whilst crowdfunder sorts out its shit.
Okay, well, I'm going to go for a little wee.
You go for a little
I'll
wee.
spend the entire story being like, I really need a wee.
His meat was sucked off his face, now I need a piss. And then there was only a lock left on the sarcophagus, and he really needed a big piss. Imogen gave £500. Crikey. We will react properly when pisses have happened. So we will just spend the time where we're waiting for Ben to come back with a gentle Pissman folk song. When the moon rises above the fields, the Pissman yields his yellow straw like liquid crop unto us. So we say, thank you, Pissman, thank you. Oh, the crops, they grow so high towards the sky, and the nitrates that live in your yellow water, I think they ought to do us just fine. Thank you, Pissman, for your yellow bounty now. Thank you, Pissman, you'll teach us how to be grateful for nature's bounty. Nature's bounty that you provide. Dr. Luke, Tim, one of these days I'll insist you'll do the Pissman shanty so I can sing the second part with you live. Wicked Evil, gentle Pissman, so song so on brand. Amy, Tim, were you trying not to have weird things on the internet? It's very true, but it's 2 hours into a horror funding live stream. We're in too deep, and we're trying to keep our head and our heart instead of going under. Samantha Wise, this song will live rent free in my head now. Whereas my Tim is a free weird thing on the internet. It's very true.
I'm feeling good.
Feeling good?
Yeah.
Feeling empty?
Feeling empty.
Oh, he's so light.
Buoyant.
Buoyant. Right. So in an attempt to make this last section relatively efficient, I have been constructing a document that matches up donations to comments.
Saw you tapping away there.
I'm hoping it's deeply efficient. Okay. Also, okay, right. Well, I'm going to get ahead of myself. Can you vamp for a few minutes whilst I finish off this document, and then I'll share it with you so you can also see it?
Yeah, all right. Go on then.
He's going to interact with the audience.
How's everyone doing? That was good. You having to. So, this is a classic thing that I always do. I always when voice acting try and read too quickly, and so you may have noticed that what I would do is I'd read that, and oh my god, things that were written long time ago, they love to put in Latin and change up the grammar to things that you're not used to. So but what I do is I start like at a reasonable pace, and then I speed up and up and up and up and up and up and up, and I start making mistakes, and I'm like, okay, I'm fucking this up. I'm gonna slow down again, and then I speed up and go up and up and up and up and up and up and up till I'm making more mistakes. And it's like, you're reading horror. I can't edit it. Good way to puncture the atmosphere is to be like, there you go. Night, Amy.
Is Amy going to sleep?
Yeah, Amy's very tired.
Oh, very tired.
Yeah. But I thank you everyone so much. Actually, the thing that I can vamp about is the people giving us money is so massively appreciate this. Like, genuinely incredible. But if you can't, like, donate for any reason, I know this is kind of a classic thing that people say when doing this kind of stuff, but genuinely talk about it, share it. If like a bunch of people share this, and it's suddenly like a bunch of people just bung in a $5 or a tenner, like that could be an extra £500,000. Like, that's it's big stuff. So just tell people.
For example, Ben only when we decided to do the stream was like, have you like mentioned this to anybody on the many Reddit groups that exist? And I was like, no. And I told them, and I think quite a few of them engaged with like, oh, you're doing a podcast. Oh, I'll come. Yeah, it's so much a matter of just getting it in front of people. Ben, I've just pinged you the link over Discord.
I saw a thing pop up. I haven't got Discord. I don't have Discord open. What am I talking about? Here it is.
So we will go to the bottom of the list and work our way up.
Wow, that's cursed.
Yeah, this is the best I could do live.
Why are these? What?
So those are the messages that I've then found on the separate page and put next to the names and donations amounts. So it's name and then below it stuff. So if there's nothing below it, then they just haven't. They just
Okay.
haven't mentioned
Okay.
what they've done. Although I've already spotted a mistake. Bloody hell. Copying and pasting from these things is tricky because the formatting doesn't like it. So it's the one just above.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica Wells.
And we should also, sorry, I was not involved in the admin, but we should, as Amy suggested, we should shout out the people who've sent stories to us to read.
Oh, yes, we will also...
Yeah.
Do you want to run down the list and thank the people who shared / wrote stories whilst I do this final bit?
The ones we read, or just everyone who sent stuff?
Say the ones we read, and then say thank you for the people that sent those in, and you can thank them as well.
Okay. Yes. Well, thank you very much to Imogen Cassidy, Lou Sutcliffe, Lily Rose, Dormavika, and then to people who we didn't get to. But, you know, I'm very tired and you could hear my voice failing, so we're going to have to stop there. But Fiona Clare, Zetak, Emery Ballard, Billy Venus, Sam Holm, Pentel, Hilbert Jones, Matty OK Smith, Voldsoy, Devonte, and Leah Conlin. Thank you very much to you all.
Okay. Right. So I think this broadly works. So we're going to work up from the bottom. First of all, I need to defend Jessica Wells.
Okay.
Now.
What?
Detective? Director.
Uncle Director Squarebus.
Squarebus.
Thank you.
Uncle Director Squarebus, I come to you with a plea.
Mm-hmm.
I love Wells. Bath and Wells, Wells Fargo, and in this particular case...
Well-Lynn Guarding City.
Wells, Ling Guarding City.
Shut up.
Wells.
What's all this is then's?
I thought you were a serious man, Director Uncle Squarebus, but apparently not.
Look, in this line of work, you need to find your sense of humour where you can.
But the Wells I value most of all
Yes.
is Jessica Wells.
Okay.
Now, I know in your capacity as the director in the Institute of Dark Liquids, delicious, unctuous dark liquids, when someone comes to you
So dark.
from the League of Light Beverages, you put them in the basement.
I do.
And you start to flood that basement slowly.
We're dark liquid.
But I would like to argue that you should let Jessica Wells live. And do you know why?
Why?
Because dark liquids and light liquids can live together in harmony. Consider rosé, red wine, dark, barobed, unctuous, deep, white wine, light, playful.
Rosé's quite a light liquid.
All right, how about this?
Mm-hmm.
Think of the children. I've kidnapped a number of children.
Oh.
And if you don't let
Wait,
Jessica
why didn't you
Wells
leave?
go-
Sorry, hang on. Why didn't you leave? Why was the wine the first pitch?
Because I really regret what I did, and I was hoping
Oh.
we would not have to get into it, but I've done that. So would you let Jessica Wells go for the good of the children?
I suppose so. Fine.
Right, hang on, I just need to make a call. Yeah, just unlock the horse box. Yeah, okay, they're all free.
You just let them roam?
Oh yeah, free range kids.
Great.
Feed on grain.
Brilliant.
Thank you. This is a message from Mermaid. You guys are absolute creative powerhouse. Yes,
Oh.
we are. And I'm so excited to see how the story of goblins evolves.
Although, very much appreciated, but it is not just us.
Oh yeah,
Imogen, Jenny, Amy. Very much. Well, definitely doing more than me.
Maddie as well,
Maddie.
doing all the
All
sound
the
design.
edits, yes. Doing
Obviously,
edits
I'm
and
the
sound
main
design.
guy. We all
Oh,
agree.
right, okay, Tim's the main
It's
guy.
90% me.
Big King Tim over here.
Oh yeah, I've written I've looked at most of the script. I'm so excited to see how the story of goblins evolves. I unfortunately have committed many serious transgressions, and I require that only the best lawyer defend me from. Hopefully, he's available. Love, Sarah Aid. Uncle Director Squarebus.
That's my name.
I may only be a small town Trexel, and I don't understand your big institute ways, the institute of the large foam triangle. But it occurs to me that from time to time, and from town to town, and from hand to hand, passing backwards and forwards until whatever it is becomes worn and smooth, justice is much like a pebble found on a beach. Hard to know where it's come from, impossible to say where it's going, but the many hands that have passed over it have shaped it, formed it into the beautiful pebble that we see before us today. And with that in mind, could you tell me what I'm doing here?
Are you defending Marie?
Oh, no, Mermaid, different
Mermaid.
one.
Oh.
It's difficult to see on the formatting.
Yeah, the format's
I'll be in to defend Marie quite shortly.
Oh, okay.
But Mermaid is much like that pebble, buffeted by life, pushed into beaches that they might not otherwise wish to lay upon.
Very smooth.
Very smooth.
Circular.
Made of granite.
Made of granite.
Made of granite.
Mm.
And I put it to you,
I don't like smooth granite people.
whomst so amongst us has
Especially
not
when
been a
they
smooth granite
smash
pebble?
up my 1995 Toyota Camry.
Oh, was that Mary Maid?
Yeah.
Death penalty.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Mary Maid. And this one is for Marie. I may be a small town country Drexel, but you, Director Squarebus.
Uncle Director, please.
Uncle Director Squarebus. Director of the Uncle Directorate.
Yes.
For the...
Do you want to find an uncle? We've got them.
Also sub-adjunct director to the Who Touched the Thermostat Brigade.
Oh, we don't like you touching the thermostat.
Leave it at 21, I say.
Yeah.
It's really hot.
Look,
Sweaty
uncles
house.
like it hot.
Some uncles
Some
like
uncles
it.
like it hot.
Have you seen that film? Some uncles like it hot. It's awful. It's an awful film.
Oh dear.
It's hideous. It's
My
hideous.
wife loves it very much.
Marilyn Monroe is still in it, but she clearly does not want to be there.
It's just too many uncles.
Look, Marie. Now, as we know, Marie did produce Some Uncles Like It Hot, and for that reason, you have decreed that she is. That I just don't know the gender. I've guessed they are a threat.
Yes.
But I put it to you.
Get off this thermostat.
Sorry, but can I just put it at 22?
No. 21.
What about 20?
No.
Pop it at 21.
No.
Well, I put it to you. Whomst amongst us
Yes.
has not accidentally produced a ill-advised sequel to Some Like It Hot due to the effects of cocaine?
Mm-hmm.
I say no one. Not you, not I, not any of these geese.
I suppose. You know what? Fine.
Freedom.
Off using the cocaine defense.
Freedom from Marie. Okay, but I've burned the cocaine card,
Yes.
which is dangerous because if you burn cocaine...
Whoa.
Right. This next one is for Jenny Munchkin. They have donated £60 and decided to say that that's one argument for my life and 3 personal thank yous. So could you quickly just thank Jenny Munchkin 3 times?
Jenny Munchkin, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Incredible deployment of the political thumbs, the tiny little political thumbs. Now, Uncle Detective Director Squarebus.
I looked at the Drexel as he came in. Knees up to his elbows, a fish in his pocket, and a stink like a wet Sunday afternoon at the dog park.
Now, you may be wondering why I smell of dogs, and that's because in the other pocket, 2 dogs.
Drexel said that I may wonder why he smells of dogs. He's been at the dog park. There's something about a pocket. I wasn't paying much attention. I was far too whiskey drunk.
Now, I can see you've got an open bottle of Bullet Bourbon on the desk there. And I have one question for you. Can I have some?
Something was mumbled about drinks and bourbon, and I always love to share a drink with a prick.
Why does it say prick on this glass?
Ah, he rumbled my prick glass. The man had gimlet eyes and a nose like a ripe banana.
Do you want to eat my nose? It's full of potassium.
I wondered what he was here for. And I hoped he'd get to the point.
Oh, yeah. You know Jenny Munchkin? They filmed my 1995... They filmed my 1995 Toyota Camry. It's been a long evening. Judging by how much money we've raised, we should definitely do it again. My 1995 Toyota Camry is so full of dogs.
Oh, no.
Dogs up to the gunnels.
Please, explain to me what that's got to do with Jenny Munchkin.
I need you to take care of them.
Where am I from?
You're from the Directorate.
Oh, noir narration.
Noir narration.
Yeah.
And I need you to... I'm supposed to defend Jenny Munchkin, but they keep filling my car with dogs, and they've got to go. They've simply got to go.
This lowlife needed to get out of my office as quickly as he came in, hopefully through the window. Goodbye, Sal.
Oh, window. Defenestrate me.
But you gotta respect the Foley work.
It's good work.
It's good work.
Enjoy, Jenny Munchkin. I really lost it there. Anna. Oh, Ronowitz. I think it's Ronowitz, like Horowitz. And Ronowitz, may I please ask...
Not spelt like that.
Is it not?
Horowitz has TZ at the end.
Goodness sake. Well, let me know, Anna, if I've done that wrong, and I will correct myself.
Almost certainly, yes.
May I please ask Ben to read this in Zolf's voice?
Fuck. Right, bad West Country accent. I'm sure I can rustle one of them up. I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow to the knee. That's from Skyrim.
I thought it was from the Magnus games. Thank you very much. An anonymous donor donated £100. Thank you very much to them. That's very, very generous. Roxy has pledged 50 of your English poons. I am very tired, so cannot phrase well, but have my coins and thank you for all your work, which brought me much joy and comfort during a difficult year. I look forward to excellent nonsense.
We are delighted to provide nonsense.
Director Prince Bishop Squarebus.
Yes, my child.
I know that you've got Roxy and you're planning to excommunicate them.
Yes, very much.
To a permanent end.
Yes.
I think you've become confused. Do you think they're Brian Ferry?
I don't follow.
Brian Ferry.
Yes.
Author.
Yes.
Musician.
Yes.
Lead singer of Roxy Music.
Yes.
Have you become confused?
Yes, I see.
Do you think that Roxy is elderly musician, English musician?
No.
No,
but they elbowed my uncle in his nipples.
Right in the nips.
Right in the nips.
Now, to be fair, are we talking about old Uncle Wide Nips? It's quite difficult to meet the man without hitting him in the nips.
I mean, admittedly, yes, it was more of a brush pass that turned into a full enwrapment.
What is this really about then? Because you and I both know how easy that is to do, and normally you wouldn't excommunicate somebody over that. So what is beneath this outburst?
I'm going to level with you, my child. I woke up on the excommunication side of the bed. I was just looking for someone, and Roxy just nippled right in there.
It's a wrong place, wrong time situation.
Yeah.
I put it to you that in God's bed, every side is good.
I put it to you, I want to execute a motherfucker. Wait, excommunicate. I'll do either, actually.
Well, I mean, the way you excommunicate people, you just set them on fire.
Okay,
so.
well, find me somebody else, and yeah, sure, we'll think about it.
All right.
How about you?
Me?
Wait, excommunicate.
And thus, I've lost the name. Roxy was saved. Oh dear, we are just about halfway through. Let me just check the Twitch numbers. My God, people have stayed. Incredible. Gem Hawes has pledged and needs to be defended.
This is such a cursed.
Yeah.
Because
there's so many bits.
You're gonna have to really rethink this.
And they're so close together. I didn't think this many people would
give us 30 quid.
Give us 30 quid. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for giving us 30 quid and making us do this horse shit.
I mean, maybe you look at this and go, "Yes, suffer. I enjoy your suffering."
To be honest, that is that's what we are capering fools for money.
May I enter the bunker? Knock knock.
Sorry, I've got a creaky elbow.
Look, we can't really get into what was going on with your arm right now. There's too much. Gem Horse sent me a telegram.
Mm-hmm.
They said, "To Drexel, stop. Please help me. I have become enmeshed in the dark plumbing of the director of Underground Pipe, Lord High Treasonous Squarebus."
Yes, I am the Lord High Treasonous.
Squarebus. Director of the Institute of Underground Domains and Denizens.
Yes. Confused as to why I'm in the bunker, but...
Well, that's where you start. When you're an underground denizen, bunker first.
Okay.
Then start digging.
It's a weird military kind of situation going on.
Well, you found...
We are fighting the war against the mole people.
You are fighting a war against the mole people, which is obviously very important.
Yeah.
How is the war against the mole people, by the way?
Bad.
Really? But they've got no eyes.
They've got big spade hands.
Spade hands and those big noses.
Yeah.
They can detect vibration by smelling it. That's what I understand.
Spade hands.
Now, I sent Gem Horse down here.
Yes.
To admittedly get in your ducting and seeing if there was anything good to nick.
Wait, so it was you?
It was me.
All right.
I'm admitting to it.
Okay. How am I punishing Gem Horse again?
You're turning them into mole scum.
Right. Mole scum.
I now see only with my little nose.
I have my mole scum finger. It's a weird punishment because it actually creates more allies for my enemies.
I will now join the mole
Nope,
resistance.
it's happened again. And he's off with his big spade hands.
I am also a tiny lizard Poirot for those who watched the stream where I played Lizard Poirot.
What happened to Trexel?
He is dead. Only I remain.
Oh dear.
Oh, it's really after 10 p.m.
We've got to tuck this boy into bed.
It was nearly 11. I'm going to say Nima Lindveer.
Oh,
Again, it's one
Neve.
of
It's Neve.
Oh, it's Neve.
Christ.
I thought Neve was spelled differently. Apparently not. Neve Lynn DeVere
I'm so sorry.
has pledged. This is really cool. You two are wonderful chaos. Yes, and I'm massively enjoying it. My Twitch name is Introverted Cosplayer, so
Well,
you
there
can
you
match
go.
things up. If only I'd led with that.
You silly
You're
bastard.
welcome to use my Twitch name as the prompt for defending my life, or however you would like to take it, or possibly a cosplayer who is now thieving identities. I don't know. I would massively enjoy it. However you would like to do it. Thank you. Okay.
How did you enjoy Tim like catastrophically mispronouncing your name? I also said mispronunciated, so actually
You fuck. Dr. Scrabus. Dr.
Yes.
Scrabus, MD.
Yes.
Director of the Institute of Modern Medicine.
Get in my brain.
Get in your brain.
Get in my brain.
Fix it all up.
Have you considered wellness?
Have you considered wellness?
Go touch some grass, go on a nice walk.
Hang on. I do feel better.
The hooves haven't gone away though.
No, I have got a pair of... And you know what? I checked the hooves, and I was thinking, well, at least they're good quality. Just a pair of half coconut shells.
Bad hooves.
Bad hooves, bad pretend hooves. But that's not
Welded
why.
onto the
That
feet.
is not why I came to talk to you today.
Okay, sorry.
I came to talk to you because I have really embarrassed myself.
Mm-hmm.
I know the name Neve.
Do you?
Well, I thought I did.
How do you spell it?
N
Yes.
for a start.
Yes.
And then you just plow onto an I. Shortly after that, pop yourself back to the start of the alphabet for an A.
Okay. That is a
Still
long...
on track?
Okay, yeah, fine.
Now, M.
Yes.
Your friend?
Sure.
What's near M? That's right. It's an N. And then to a very...
Wait, hang on. Niamn.
Yeah. Is it wrong?
Yes.
This is why they've got to go.
Now, think of an N,
Yes.
but make it tall.
A tall N?
Yeah.
A tall N?
Put a pole upon its head. Think of an N
Yeah.
and put a pole upon its head.
An M?
No, that will be
A pole upon its head?
upon like an N. But
Yes.
then there's a line that makes it tall.
Oh, I was thinking in capital letters. You're talking about an H.
I am talking about an
You're
H.
talking about our old friend the H.
And then you stop.
There's no E.
No.
I had it wrong. I looked at it 20 seconds ago.
You thought it was Niamne.
I'm ashamed to say I definitely did. I'm sorry to everyone involved. Well, look, let's make it simpler. Introverted cosplayer.
Yes. Just to remind everybody, I'm the director of Modern Edison.
Modern Edison. Bringing Edison into the 21st century.
It's such a 19th century thing. Oh no.
What?
Okay, 19th century Hedison is definitely
No,
phrenology.
that's phrenology. Look, just because you felt their
Cancel the
head and decided that they were too criminal doesn't mean
Yeah,
that
well.
they should die. So I would like you to release them right now.
Well, hang on.
You
I need
bump
to
feeling weirdo.
come here.
Yes?
Come here. I'm just gonna check.
Oh.
Do you have the head of an honest man?
Too greasy.
I will do whatever you want to leave this office right now.
Okay, well, let him go.
Thank you and good night.
Okay. Griffin's Treehouse, I feel like I'm going insane watching this. Well, Griffin's Treehouse, I feel like I'm insane doing it. So, at least we're all on the same level. Crikey. Okay, we are nearly at the top of the page. Deanna donated again. A final thank you for a super fun stream, and thank you for pronouncing my name correctly eventually. No, thank you hugely, Deanna. You have donated hugely generously throughout. And we thank you. And Deanna will always be free. They've
ascended
They've
the need for
even the God King director Squarebus themselves cannot imprison or touch.
It's gonna be a quick one. Hello, it's Diana. Can't touch him. Bulletproof.
You get off.
Yeah, no, fair
Right.
enough. Bulletproof.
I'll see you at Barbillions.
Yeah, bye bye. There you go.
Thank you very much, Deanna. CJ Holmes.
There you go. You're given so much money, you're rewarded with a very bad sketch.
CJ Holmes has pledged £55. Oh, the director of dance. The captain of cube movements. The lieutenant, like a lieutenant, but over to the leeward side of Lush's moves. Will you free CJ? Will you free them? They only dance the cha-cha. They only move the tango in the moonlight. They only wish to throw shapes in the church of dance. And you decreed them apostate.
They were curved.
Curved, and you only allow for the straight vectors.
Indeed.
We cannot be made of rulers like you. Some of us are made of bendier stuff. Please allow them this penance. Oh, they're writing something down. Hang on. I think it might be a decree. Or it might be a warning. Or it might be a small, dirty limerick. Maybe it's... Oh. What have they written?
It won't show up on... There we go.
O-E-O.
Nope. But you tried doing a D without a curve.
D-O.
No.
Dead? Oh, no, I failed. CG, I'm so sorry. You donated £55 and now you are misspelt.
Dead.
Dead. I'm a little picky because I am dead. Dr. Pow, is he painting a penis?
Love the idea of painting. What? I've got my little paintbrush on my desk.
Paint a penis.
No, it's because Tim's actually on my painting desk.
And hang on. Yep, I painted a penis. FGCKY pledged 2 Hun Dread Pounds.
Jesus.
We should call them Dread Pounds when there's that many of
Dread
them.
Pound.
2
Dread Pounds.
Come on. Like you wouldn't enjoy that.
John Robinson's raided us again.
What? How? How is he? Oh, is there a second show?
Is this the next show? It's just like, thanks for coming, everyone. Now these idiots.
We are right in the teeth of donation admin. You will have not a single solitary idea what we're doing, but we massively appreciate it. Oh, it's been a stream.
Wait. Oh, they've just missed the you dead. You dead. You dead.
Show
You
them.
dead.
Show them. You're dead. And it adjusts. You're dead.
You dead. You dead. You dead. You dead.
Well, FCGK has donated £200 and now I must argue for their life. For the life of a 1993 Dodge Shadow. Director Squabbers.
You.
Chief Mechanic.
You.
High Piston Prince.
That's me.
The Carburetor Cardinal.
Oh, yes.
The Fuel Injector Inquisitor himself. The 1993 Dodge Shadow
Yes.
is a classic. You cannot let it die.
Just going to pull up a picture of
Just
a
pull up a picture.
1993.
Pull up a picture of a 1993 Dodge Shadow.
Oh.
Look at it.
Oh.
Oh, look at its boxy lines. Look at its come hither square hips. Consider its all plastic rims. Now, some people would argue it's aerodynamic. Other people would argue it's a monstrosity of triangles and squares. But I say it is of its time. Think of all of the ill-advised nights out that has been held in a 1993 Dodge Shadow. Think of all of the late-night pizzerias visited. Think of all of... No, see, your computer will refuse to download an image of a 1993 Dodge Shadow for it is disgusted by it, or indeed because it's decided to put it in downloads or pictures. Unclear. You might need to reopen that, and it might update itself. You might need to close it and browse again. No, 1993 done. All right, everybody Google a 1993.
I was looking at OneDrive.
You were looking at OneDrive. It's not in there.
Not helped.
It's not in there at all.
Just wish I could drag it onto the... Get over there.
That's not how... Oh, it did! That works!
Fucking did it. But only quickly.
Did you see?
Did you see? The flash of
Try and
Dodge
flash it
Shadow.
again. Just do it again. See, we're like, oh, there it is. And now it's gone. A new feature. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream, everyone.
Look, wait, here's another one.
Is it because it's like going on and then like going to the back?
Here's another one. Ooh. Ooh, it's a big one.
I can't believe we have discovered this. He's got hundreds of pictures, each one with its own virus. Now, with what you've just experienced,
That's a Camry. It's a Camry.
Toyota Camry. Oh, people are shouting, Ben, your son. Your sleeping child.
Look, once he's down, he's down.
Yeah. Now, think about all the fun you just had. You've got to save it. You simply have to save it. You can't after looking at that boxy fuck. Surely look at me and say, yep, 2003 Nissan. Oh, hang on.
Oh. Hang on a minute.
Need to go to images. Oh, it's decided you've had too much fun.
Got angry at me. There.
Nissan Micra.
Another one.
My occipital lobes hurt from laughing. I don't know about yours.
I've never occipital the load.
Are you looking up a Toyota Hilux?
Oh, yes.
Quickly, Terrence. Hilux, please.
That's
not a Toyota Hilux. That's just more Nissan Micras. Lazy Kiwi Ben is having so much fun with this. Yes, Fox Club Pal, we have reached the 50% at least.
Oh, technical mode. Never
Boff.
boom. Big boy.
Big boy.
Big boy.
Will you allow me to let the 1995
Yeah, fine. I've fully forgotten what.
forgotten. It's safe. It lives once
To be
more.
honest, look,
GCKY.
it taught us the magic of dragging an image into OBS only for it to
scroll down to the bottom of the sources. Are there just like hundreds of pictures now?
No.
Or up a bit? Yeah. Or there they all
there
are.
they all. Wait.
Where are they?
Where have they gone?
It's incredible.
They're at the top.
Maybe they're like temporary internet files, so they live for just a moment
They're a bump.
and then die. Incredible.
The death of the bump.
Anonymous donated £40. Thank you very much. Then
That one was too big.
Imogen Cassidy. Imogen Cassidy donated £500.
What the piss?
And Imogen Cassidy, with this, left us a little message, which I will find and read to you right now. Here we are. Obviously, I'm still doing the Drexel voice. Obviously, I can't go for karaoke with you guys since I'm not going to be in the UK again until 2029. First question, how do you know that that's when you'll be next in the UK? That's quite a way.
They've really booked themselves
They've really booked it in. Please have a drink with me and sing something dumb. Imogen Cassidy, we will, when we do our little karaoke rap party, we will specifically film a video of us all singing to you because that's a very incredibly generous thing that you've done there. So thank you very much. And you know what? I think we should sing a very quiet song to Imogen Cassidy right now, Ben.
I'm also just going to pop a delightful Australian car into the... There you go.
That's for you, Imogen Cassidy.
Have one of them.
Okay. Ben, would you like to be the instrumentation and backup singers on this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, you love it. Okay.
Yep.
Take it away. From the shadows, who is that hiding with £500 clutched in their grubby little fists? Imogen Cassidy wants some milk. Have it on me with my shiny £50 note, tucking it in to our top shirt pocket in a condescending way.
Imogen Cassidy.
Give us the money.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-do.
Thank you for the money.
Imogen Cassidy.
Would you like
Imogen Cassidy.
a long song?
Imogen Cassidy.
Well, guess.
Imogen Cassidy.
Guess what, fucko?
Imogen Cassidy.
You've got one.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-do.
Dabba-rabba-dabba-doo.
Ba-ba-do-do-do.
Rubber-dub-dub.
Scrub my bub.
Get in the tub. Do it. Get in the tub. Get in the tub.
Okay.
There we go, Imogen Cassidy. That's happened. That is something that I can only describe as happened. Specky Ferret, bedtime, boys. Right, well, Squiddy Toads, respectfully, Timberly. What? Well, Flowers Underground liked it and has followed us, as has Becca Paymore and Court Jester MP4. Sorry, these cards feel like Easter eggs. Okay, well, we've been going for nearly 3 hours. We are now on... Let me refresh it. I'm going to get a second opinion from Ben as well. Currently on 13,813...
Another iconic Australian car.
That was actually an image of Australian Parliament in session. Would you please look on the crowdfunder page to make sure I've got the right amount quoted just there.
Do a little loop.
Do a little roughy fresh. Yep, looks like it's the same. £13,813, which is, I mean,
a lot of money.
Lot during
lot of
this,
cash.
about £2,500 or there or so during just this stream.
Yeah.
Yes, so obviously Ben's time is highly limited, what with his commitments. But
To child.
yes, this has been a rip-roaring success and an awful lot of fun. So we'll see if we can do something else like this in the 13 days until the end of the thing.
Yeah.
But it might be of a different form, time dependent. But I've just had a lot of fun.
People are suggesting I could read My Immortal. I have no shame. I'll do it.
He'll do it.
I'll do it.
He'll do it.
I'll do it.
Maybe we'll set this as a fundraising goal.
I'll do it.
Becca paint more. Oh no, Mary fuck do this. Right. Well, what we'll do is in between then and now, I will hold a stream in which we do a fundraising goal or something because I don't know how to. I can't quite work out how we would administer this right now. But maybe you know what? Maybe we can add it as a crowdfunder reward or something.
Bang it on to 75%.
But yeah, you know what? I think yes, 75%. Well, in addition to what we've said there. We can do a little, we can do a little thingy-mythob. Flowers Underground, good Lord, what is happening? Well, what is happening is we are finishing up because it's time for everyone to go to bed.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Oh, hang on.
Please. Well, thank you already for all of the money.
All of that money.
Stupid amount of money you've given us. The very sensible amount of money that
it's a reasonable amount of money. And Ben, we need like the same again on top. So it's a very reasonable amount of money.
Yeah. Anyone got £12,000 at the back of the sofa?
12 days left, motherfuckers. Yeah. Right.
That's only £1,000 a day, right?
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I make £1,000 a day. No, a month. Shit.
But please share it. Tell people that this man right here, if we get to 75%, will find time of an evening to read as much as My Immortal as my tiny brain can handle.
And you know what? As a man who has read it, gets worse as it goes along.
Yeah.
Really loses the plot.
Yeah.
Well, you got the stream control, so I'm just going to vamp until you finish it. Do. Sprinkle it with dew. Who can give us money? So Ben will do something inadvisable. It's Immortan Joe.